during the budget framework paper, we were very keen and sober. We budgeted and thought that finance would respect our submissions to allocate money for seeds distribution. Right, Honorable Speaker, I remember of the 4 billions that was supposed to cater for the seedlings, that finance diverted into parish development model. And given the parish development model, in my simple calculations, the 4 billions will only service the interests of 40 parishes vis-a-vis the whole country that has been served using the same budget allocation. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think it is unfair and it will not address the problem of food insecurity in the country. Much as Honorable Cole was pronouncing over Choli region and so on, but all the cattle corridor has no food, including my own constituency, Bari, Mawaso, Galilaya, and Bari sub-counties. Right, Honorable Speaker, I have one prayer. Since the Honorable Minister for Finance is here with us, I beg this Parliament to agree with me so that we ask him to reverse that would be money for seed allocation so that it buys the seed so that our people get enough seed for planting and preparing for the season. I beg to submit.
Colleagues, be cautious the language you use here. We don't want Parliament to be the one propagating illegalities. You know, language of reversing, but there are very clear procedures that we go through. I will guide on the matter. Let me get information from the Chairperson Agriculture.
Thank you very much.
Let's listen to the Chair Agriculture.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the honorable colleagues who have raised the issue of seeds. Right Honorable Speaker, from the 9th Parliament, Parliament has been having an arrangement codenamed NADS/Parliament Food Security Arrangement, where communities were getting seeds, especially maize seeds, and in some cases, beans, to empower their communities. Season B. Planting season A falls in March, and that is when we, the leadership of the Committee of Agriculture, initiate with the NADS the process of giving seeds to MPs to take to their communities. We are now in planting season B. Many have flocked my office, just like they have flocked yours. But it was a serious oversight in the budgeting. When we were budgeting, we even warned members. We said, this is the only thing we survive on. It is a food security arrangement. The PDM doesn't have food security arrangement. So this was the only one. And some of the members of Parliament who could pick seats would give us very good results. The maize looked little, but it had impact. Now, people are starving everywhere.
But Chair, you are also lamenting.
No, I'm not lamenting. I'm now coming. Right, Honorable Speaker.
No,
Let me now come. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Chair.
We needed just 4 billion. 4 billion. 2 billion for planting season A and 2 billion for planting season B. And I request that we provide that money so that people have the seeds.
Thank you, Chair. I will allow the UPDF. General Kavuma happens to be the Deputy Director, Coordinator, Operation Wealth Creation. So General Kavuma, please. He has valuable information on this matter. General Kavuma, everyone is fighting that you speak from their side. So
thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
and honorable members of parliament. I wanted to make a clarification because when I joined in, I found, I think, members discussing or mixing up three issues. One is the enterprises that were being given by government through Ministry of Agriculture and through NADS and distributed by Operation Wealth Creation. That is one issue. Then the other one is the introduction of Operation, rather PDM, Parish Development Model. Then the third issue is the seeds that were being given to members of parliament to take to their constituency on. Now, the first one of enterprises, these were not only seeds, they were giving out cows, they were giving out to piglets, they were giving out to all sorts of, and seeds also. But that one, when the government came up with the parish development model, that issue was stopped. All the money that had been budgeted in the previous years for that was now focused on PDM. So that one is no more as a policy. It's from cabinet to other people. Then the other one of parliament, seeds that were given to parliament to take to their constituencies, that one I don't know. But if the situation now demands other arrangements, then it should come as a new matter. If members of parliament feel there is a lot of famine in where we come from, that should not be mixed with the PDM program or other programs. It should come as something new, and then the government sees what to do.
Thank you. No, no, this is not here as a government official. He's here as a substantive member of parliament. So General Kavuma, you can take your seat. I don't want him to take questions. General Kavuma, please take your seat. Please, please. Colleagues. You see, I know we can take advantage. But when there is a minister, okay, a member of parliament, when he is here, even if he holds a certain position, when there is a political head, that member won't be subjected to answering questions. Okay? We must know that. He's a substantive member. We don't want to cause problems, colleagues. Yeah. Honorable Minister, you are going to come say something, but I was of the view, colleagues, because this is a very serious matter. And we are more or less debating it, which is not right. I want to guide that Minister of Agriculture on Thursday next week, you present a statement to this House, a comprehensive statement, which we shall discuss, which we shall debate. But on that statement, please, we need action you've taken to mitigate all these issues that have been raised, and extract the prayers clearly and the issues raised by members, and ensure the minister receives it tomorrow so that they can have time to prepare. You see, I can say Tuesday, Wednesday, but you need someone to prepare. You need someone to prepare. And sometimes on such a matters, if I can borrow my experience of having been in cabinet, when we extract such a prayers, then it even helps the minister to raise it with cabinet on Monday, and is able to come and talk authoritatively after he has consulted.
Mr. Speaker. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, I've ruled on the matter.
Yes, you have ruled on the matter, but you should know that this is a short period of rain.
Yes.
And if it is short and we ask for Thursday, that means that our issue is going to be responded to even almost at the end of this month, when it will be too late for us to have the seats. It will really be too late. If the
We organized it, we saw ourselves getting maize minus transport, and the ministers were getting more kilograms than the rest of the backup benchers. So that was the idea which was brought by Matia Kasaija to continue moving. But the Parliament, right now, Speaker, it must be expunged in our record.
Please.
If you say Parliament
does
gave,
not,
we
Parliament
didn't.
does not.
So that was the wisdom of the late
Please.
Kasaija, and we continued, no, Kasaija, no, Matia Kasamba. Matia Kasamba.
Please.
Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you. It's good to have a very clear record of the House. Expand that part from the record. Correct it. Don't expand, just correct. Because Isaac, are you on the same?
Just a quick information. I was just asking, when the minister comes back on Tuesday, could you also include in his report on how the tractors have been distributed? Because we've been hearing there are tractors at the ministry, but somehow they are disappearing slowly. We don't know who are taking. When we write letters, we don't.
Please, Honourable
Could that be in the
Minister,
report?
include
Thank you.
it. Honourable Chibadia, you have a procedure matter?
Thank you, Right Honourable. Right Honourable, I am rising on a procedure matter in relation to what the Honourable Anthony raised, which is the same. Right Honourable, last month the Prime Minister
and
was
on
here.
which I've ruled.
Yes, the Prime Minister was here when we were handling the issue of Karamoja. And we informed government that there is looming hunger in the whole of the country. And the Prime Minister promised that the following week they were going to table a report that was going to address the looming hunger in the country, and the issue of seeds was raised then. And the Prime Minister promised. So as the minister comes, let her know that the Prime Minister confirmed to us that she was coming up with a program to address the issue of seeds and the looming hunger in the country.
Thank you. This is, a government does not work in silos. They work as a team. So please work as a team. When the Prime Minister speaks, the Prime Minister most of the times assigns ministers. So the Minister of Agriculture, Prime Minister, Minister for Disaster, please work as a team. Honourable Nzima, procedure? Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the procedural issue I wanted to raise is in relation to the issue of hunger. This issue of hunger has always come on the floor of Parliament, and some time back assessment was done. It was discovered that the hunger rate is not the same. There are other areas which are hit harder. And the government took a decision that some of these areas, like Karamoja, Isinjiro, that had issues of hunger as a result of drought, there was need to establish valley dams, both for animals and also for irrigation. That will help and boost production of food. But since then, we have not got any report, any feedback. And the same regions continue to experience the same problems. So there were a number of areas in Karamoja, even in West Nile, there was one which was supposed to be at Pakwach. So I will also, through you, I don't know whether it will not be procedurally right for Minister, as she comes to talk about the issue of seeds and others, also to respond to this and give us a status report on these valley dams. Because money loan was procured, the activities were supposed to go forward. So how far has it gone? So we needed a status report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, but colleagues, this is where we also have to do our own oversight role, to play our own role as an oversight institution. If we passed a loan, like a member is raising, now the committee responsible should be the one telling us that here, colleagues, we passed this loan, but nothing has been done. Okay? So, Minister, please include that in your report. But rate committees, today I met the Vice Chairperson of the Committee on National Economy, but you see most of these loans, after they are sent to sectors. So the sector committees, you need to be the one appraising the performance of these loans so that we know they are being implemented or not. Because you every day, at least you interact, most of the time, interact with these institutions. Colleagues, let's close that matter. We shall have a comprehensive debate on the matter on Tuesday. But Minister, I hope there will be real clarification and action taken and proposals, concrete proposals, in as far as addressing this challenge is concerned. Reason being, whenever we have a drought, we have problems, you spend hundreds of billions buying food. But I mean, MPs are always saying that invest that money so that people produce their own food. You don't suffer buying, you know? So that's what you have to focus on. Colleagues in the gallery, today we do have students and teachers of Apex Junior Primary School from Kira Municipality, Wakiso, represented by Honorable Semujunganda, Ibrahim Semujunganda, and Honorable Betty Esther Naruyima. They've come to observe proceedings of the House. Join me in welcoming them. Thank you. Thank you. Also, we do have a delegation from West Nile who had come check on their members of parliament, and they are represented by Honorable Vika Lawrence Songa, Honorable Feta Joffrey, Honorable Musa Noah, and Honorable Atima Jackson. And as you know, we have a substantive item on the order paper regarding power supply in West Nile. So they've come to observe the proceedings of this House and see how best we shall handle their issue. So join me in welcoming them. Thank you. Yes, Honorable Wanyama Michael.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, for record purpose, I'm Wanyama Michael Odore. I represent the people of Namaingo South, Namaingo District. Right Honorable Speaker, I raise on a matter of national importance. Right Honorable Speaker, our community is a fishing community. We are bordered by the shores of Lake Victoria. But right now, as I speak, there are aquatic animals called hippopotamus. They have devastated our gardens and crops. They eat everything green on the lake shores, especially along the villages on the lake. And this is Mutumba sub-county in the villages of Rubango, Rugaga, and Mulwanda. So my prayer is that the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife should intervene, or else we are going to face a problem and a disaster of famine and hunger. I submit.
Thank you. Now, hippos fall under which ministry? Huh? Because they stay in a lake. So I'll ask the Minister of Agriculture. We put it under tourism, but no, Prime Minister, a colleague needs help. A colleague needs help.
Right Honorable Speaker, yeah, those animals falls under Minister of Tourism. So I'm going to call the Minister of Tourism to intervene in that matter to see how we can protect our people so that at least they should remain with their food, and the animals also should stay in their lake without interfering with the food or with the people around. Thank you.
But Right Honorable Prime Minister, I think comprehensively, this has to do with the compensation fund. The compensation fund under the Wildlife Act, which we passed here, because personally my community, Right Honorable Prime Minister, areas of Chianga sub-county and Chijende sub-county, I mean, people no longer have goats, people no longer have crops, elephants, everything. The Speaker is submitting Honorable Call. Yes. So this is the only opportunity I have of raising my constituency issues. I'm raising matters of national importance also. Yes, Honorable Prime Minister, you know, I mean, whenever you complain, whenever communities come, we are just looking bad. If we knew that we are not able to raise funds for this road, why did we allow it? The proposal came from government. Why don't we operationalize this fund so that once wildlife animals come and destroy people's crops, people's buildings, people's what, we are able to compensate? Or we amend and we remove that law. We know people cannot get compensated. Okay? So, Right Honorable Prime Minister, on that, in response to his, Thursday next week, please, we need a statement on operationalization of that fund. Honorable Macho? Yes.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, your ruling is very wise. In the tennis parliament, the same issue happened, whereby the crocodiles, by then it was Julius who reported, Honorable, that 8 people in Budimo, in Busia district, in Samabwe South, and Honorable Dero also reported that matter on this floor of parliament. But since those people were eaten, government have not compensated them at all, the families, and up to now, the families are really suffering. And moreover, the crocodiles are back, Madam Prime Minister. So there is a fear again that when they eat other people, there will be no compensation. We therefore, as the minister comes to give that submission on Wednesday, he better include the issue of the people who are eaten by crocodiles in Busia district, in Budimo. Thank you. And the host for our people.
Thank you. Let me first allow from the islands, then I allow my sister, then Honorable Sewungu.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
You also have wildlife in your area. Hey.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, these issues are not coming for the first time. And I remember one time here, I raised an issue. This one is on hippos, the other one was on crocodiles. And my people, after undergoing a lot of suffering, killed one of the crocodiles. And they were arrested by officials of Uganda Wildlife Authority. And were brought up to Buganda Road Court. So we cannot be in a situation where we are giving preference to wild animals against the population. Unfortunately, in the bill we passed, we looked at the game parks, the other wildlife, and they never looked at the lake. Therefore, when it comes to compensation, in fact, the Minister of Tourism committed when one of the boys' arms was bitten off by a wild animal, specifically a crocodile, the minister promised to help up to today. And the minister has never visited the area. Maybe the minister, when he's coming, should also give some hope that there can be room to amend that specific provision so that we include wild animals in the lake, especially hippos and crocodiles.
No, I think you see where it was coming from, where the principle was coming from of the fund. We collect money from national parks. Okay? So we're saying part of that fund should be used to compensate neighboring communities once they are affected. Now we need to look at who collects money from the lakes. Yes. Yeah. No, who collects money from the lakes? If it's Honorable Doa, we see how best we put, because now you're not going to go to UA to compensate where it does not collect money. So these are things we need to look into deeper. Mama, you had, was it on the same? I'm going to allow just a few people and then we...
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, this year alone, in my constituency, we lost 2 individuals in the hands of crocodile and hippopotamus. The same scenario which the colleague was raising. But when you look into the operation of Uganda Wildlife Authority, they are taking charge of all those wild animals, including the ones, those of aquatic animals, the hippopotamus and the crocodiles. And they're also a source of revenue. If you go to other areas, even here at the Entebbe Regional Speaker, just going to see a crocodile, you pay some money. You pay. If you go to Pakwach, by the time you cross to Pakwach district, you view those animals and you pay some money. You enter a game park, you pay some money. But when you lose life, they can hardly respond to those activities, Regional Speaker. And now the worst scenario is, last week when we had a meeting with the minister and his team, what we realized in form of irregularities is, when we lost a life, this person is compensated 15 million shillings. But when we lose crops, or individuals who lose crops are paid to the tune of 45 million shillings. Now we were asking ourselves, between human beings and crops, which one is so important than the other?
Okay.
And those are the things we are trying to
Kayondo, and then Santa, and I conclude with Seungu.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I agree with the compensation and the compensation fund. But I think, Honorable Speaker, that is giving a painkiller to a very big problem. Honorable Speaker, we have destroyed the ecosystems where these animals are supposed to be, in preference to beaches and hotels. Those animals are supposed to be ecosystemed somewhere in their environments. But you have built hotels all over, we have built beaches all over, and they have to exist because we need them. That's why they live where they are supposed to be, then they come and intermingle with the people. Unless we take a bitter pill and we go back and restore where they are supposed to be, and we talk about those big fishes around the shores of Lake Victoria, and we have these animals stay. Otherwise, we are just giving a painkiller to a very serious problem, because they have to exist. Thank you very much.
Honorable Santa, we end with Honorable Seungu on this.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, and I want to thank my honorable colleague for bringing up this issue. Right Honorable Speaker, the colleague has brought the issue relating to the hippos and the crocodiles. But Right Honorable Speaker, on the floor of this very parliament, very many members, including myself, have presented issues concerning the human-wildlife conflict. In my district, Oyam borders Makshon National Park, and many times the elephants have invaded the communities and killed so many people, Mr. Speaker. And the people try to come and seek for this compensation, but Right Honorable Speaker, it's a nightmare. Not one person has ever been compensated from my district and many other districts. And yet, Mr. Speaker, we passed the law here, and we thought the law would help the people as far as compensation for human life and the crops is concerned. So my prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, is this, that when the minister comes, let her or him comes with a comprehensive statement, not only for the hippos and crocodiles, but also the wild animals, which have killed so many people, and not only in Oyam and a few districts, but a comprehensive statement consisting of all the districts affected by the human-wildlife conflict.
Thank you. Honorable Seungu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I happen to be the Vice Chairperson of the Government Assurance Implementation Committee. And as the Honourable Member stated, we have had meetings with the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, and the challenge on the law, they are saying that they have not yet gazetted the regulations. That's why they are failing to compensate. However, in the committee, they gave us the regulations, but we are wondering how government fails to gazette regulations that determine payment of these people who have been affected by these animals. But right now, Speaker, not to preempt our report, we shall take a very good report here at the right time when you allow us. But we pray through you right now, Speaker, that the Prime Ministers are here, go and gazette the regulations from WUA so that compensation can take place within the new law that was passed by Parliament and accepted by the President. Otherwise, that is being lazy. If you cannot gazette regulations.
Now you have started quarreling.
Because they
you
are
were
here.
submitting, you've gone into...
My prayers, that is it. Thank you, no speak.
So, Right Honourable Prime Minister, before you came, I told members how I'm one of the most affected, me and Honourable Juliet Bashisha, my sister, from Mitoma. We neighbor Kahinji Forest, we neighbor Queen Elizabeth National Park, a very big stretch. And our people now no longer have what to eat, they no longer have, all the animals have been eaten, you know, crops destroyed by hippos, by elephants, by buffaloes. Who is making money from the national park? We made the law for compensation, but we are not compensating people. Now what is going to happen? People are going to go to the parks and kill animals. And yet, when, even in my community, whenever a member dares to go to the park, most of them don't come back. Most of them, they are killed from there. Many. I have many cases, I've lost my OBs in the park. You know, and sometimes even when one is killed, they say he was eaten by animals because you cannot even give evidence. People can't go to even ask for the body. So, but we passed a law here, which law was proposed by government, not even by a private member, because it would have been against the constitution, but by government to compensate people affected by wildlife animals. Now, who makes the money? So what we want is to operationalize the law. But Right Honourable Prime Minister, what they are saying is regulations, but we look at it as a ploy of frustrating the compensation. It's a deliberate ploy, because even the Minister of Tourism would want to compensate. So, Right Honourable Prime Minister, I have requested that the Minister comes on Thursday next week with a comprehensive statement responding to members' issues, but also showing steps being taken to implement the law. Now we need clear steps. If there are regulations, take it up, Right Honourable Prime Minister, so that our people stop suffering. Now, colleagues, we have to move quicker because the Prime Minister, who had told me won't be able to make it, has made it. And as per our rules, at 4 p.m. I have to amend the order paper to order the order paper, and I allow her for her time. So we have to run quickly. Some of the issues we don't cover, I'll push them to Tuesday. So I'll allow Honourable Musana Eric. 2 minutes. Quick.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I arise to give a matter of national importance, specifically on electricity. Mr. Speaker, in my constituency, I have 2 projects running, one by Chapa contractors and the other by on-track engineering services. Mr. Speaker, these projects have stalled for the last 3 years. They are not on ground. I have moved to REA several times, and Rural Electrification Agency seem not to be having any answer. When I was interacting with them, they raised issues of not so sure whether they will be in office, because most of them, their contracts are almost expiring. And the Honourable Minister has given them instructions by October to check out themselves. And I remember when, Mr. Speaker, when we were doing merging, we thought these staff would be brought on board and then the system would run.
Prayer,
Mr. Speaker, is to request the Minister to advise the contractors to resume their sites, and then the projects are complete, because there is a lot of vandalism. All the poles that were erected are almost rotting, and we have serious matters. The last one is on regularizing REA staff. There is a lot of confusion at REA. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Minister of Energy. This is a cross-cutting issue, colleagues. So it's cross-cutting, so the answer will cover us all.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, and I want to thank Honourable Eric for having raised this matter. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, you are all aware about the decision that government took to merge some MDAs, but also to mainstream others. Rural Electrification Agency is one of those that were mainstreamed, and their vote was cancelled, and their money, 157 billion, which was on that vote, was brought to the ministry. The former REA, it is former because doesn't exist. The board was removed. So we agreed to continue with the staff, pay them the amount up to the end of the contract they had with Rural Electrification Agency. This contract is ending in October. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Energy, was obliged by law to notify the staff in 3 months period that since their contract is ending in October, they must prepare to hand over to human resource personnel, because this is required by law. And what will ensue thereafter is a fresh recruitment, and the first call is going to be given to the REA staff. Meanwhile, Cabinet has passed the department, this is a structure, where the staff are going to work. They have to work under a structure. We are going to have a Department of Rural Electrification, REP, Rural Electrification Program, so that we continue with the work of rural electrification, because it is very key. So it is not true, Right Honorable, that there is confusion that the staff do not know what is happening. They know, but they've been moving around, lobbying, expecting government to rescind the decision, which is too late. This August House has already authorized me through a motion that was brought by Minister of Finance. So there is no confusion. We are moving systematically. And the first call will be given to the former REA staff.
Honorable Minister, if I can get the member well, his major issue was not on people having their contracts renewed on what, but work going on. Work has stopped. People are laissez-faire attitude towards work. What are you doing to ensure that indeed work can resume and it goes well? That's a major point of concern.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I was going to end by that clarification. Yes, because his matter had 2 parts. So regarding the work that stalled, this is a matter that came because of a change in contract, where one of our staff, former staff of REA, authorized Tibea to change the order by authorizing them to procure conductors which were not as per the specifications in the contract. We had to engage the Attorney General, and we realized that Tibea was right. The person who authorized them was our staff. So we had to own up. So I found this going on, but as I can speak now, the Attorney General has guided, and the work has started in many areas. I have taken note of your specific contractors on the ground. I am going to cross-check, and where further guidance is required, I am going to do so. I thank you.
So Honorable Chairperson, Committee on Natural Resources, kindly do oversight on this matter, link with the Minister. You visit some of these places. You can do random. You visit some of these places and you report back to this House in the next 2 weeks in regard to this matter, okay? Starting with the Honorable Musana's area.
Most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Nguzuli, Honorable Abdara Chiwanuka, Honorable Namuga Goreti.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I will begin by congratulating our students, all pupils, and schools for successfully closing term 2. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm rising on a matter of national importance regarding to upcoming concerts that seek to attract high school students. Right Honorable Speaker, in August, in this very House on 14th July, a member raised a matter where it was seen on social media concerts in schools that where musicians were dancing in very obscene, seductive ways in schools. Consequently, in a circular that was issued by the Ministry of Education, government issued a ban on all concerts that involve such kind of dances in schools. Right Honorable Speaker, however, social media is awash with adverts of certain radio station that is going to hold a concert next Saturday 20th at Lugogo Cricket Ground. In this advert, the concert spells that Zina Shosh 2022 is going to attract, I read verbatim, mark your calendars, the biggest high school turn-up is going down on 20th August 2022 at Lugogo Hawk Grounds. All Ugandan top artists will be performing live. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm raising this matter not because the Ministry of Education is responsible for students outside schools, but still government has to regulate on the conduct of performances that are made that attract pupils below the age of 16. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is government should quickly stay this particular concert pending issuance of guidelines on how this concert should be conducted. Right Honorable Speaker, too, government should verbatimly re-echo the ban on these concerts to protect our children from moral and cultural degradation. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. This is a very important issue because at most of these concerts, that's where you find they are selling alcohol to our below 18 people, drugs. They go till late. Sometimes you meet very young people, walking around Rugogo, very many at night, some at rest, others as if, So what a member has requested for Right Honorable Prime Minister is that guidelines for such a concert, where we are having our young people, our teenagers. So Right Honorable Prime Minister. And the names, Zina Shos, these names.
Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I have taken note of our members' concern. I am going to engage the concerned ministries so we can put sanity in what we call concerts. Right Honorable Speaker, you will realize that the Minister of Education is a mother who is always trying to make sure that our children live decently. And she's always on top of the game. She will act. Thank you so much.
But Right Honorable Prime Minister, this is a concert outside. These are holiday makers. So Minister of Internal Affairs, which careers needs to make a commitment on this. We need clear guidelines for such. Yeah.
Right Honorable Speaker and the Right Honorable Prime Minister, it's true we do enforce the law, but I think it needs more than us. It needs ethics and integrity, and it also needs gender, because they are the ones that, so that together we can enforce what is well laid out. Colleagues, please, we don't have much time, colleagues. If you see there, Honorable Namuga, you're going to follow up
with the Right Honorable Prime Minister, who is going to coordinate with the Minister of Internal Affairs and the Minister of Ethics and Integrity to ensure that indeed and gender, this does not happen without guidelines, and be in touch with my office so that on Tuesday we can see how best inform members. Colleagues, some of you sent in questions. Now, I received questions you had brought in. More than half of the questions were not questions which are of urgent nature. They are questions of a policy nature. It's a question you have sat and researched, but you want the Prime Minister to come or the Minister to give you a quick answer. So you're going to get a half-baked answer. So some of the questions, I'm not going to allow them under this. I'll push them to Prime Minister's time, including Honorable Franca, your question. I'll push them to Prime Minister's time, where you will ask it, and then the Prime Minister is able maybe to go and prepare and give you a comprehensive answer. Honorable Nanda J. Christine.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For records, I'm Nanda J. Christine, representing Bukomansimbi North County. I raised to talk about the matter of urgent public importance in my constituency. Last weekend, I conducted a medical camp in Bukomansimbi Town Council, but the outcomes pushed me to raise this urgent matter in Bukomansimbi. My people are being affected by a number of diseases due to drought and lack of clean, safe water in the area. Right, Honorable Speaker, over 2,000 patients participated in the medical camp, and the outcome of the camp indicated an increase in diseases caused by lack of safe water. A number of 600 patients were diagnosed with typhoid, diarrhea, gastritis, pneumonia, skin infections due to poor hygiene like ringworms, scabies, and impetigo in children, among others. Right, Honorable Speaker, most of these infections are caused by drinking and bathing unsafe water due to meteorological drought. Today, a jerrycan of water in Bukomansimbi is sold at 2,000 shillings. The available water sources are the swamps of Katonga, Choja, and Nawajuzi swamps, where they have to walk for over 15 miles. That is 24 kilometers. Right, Honorable Speaker, due to drought, crops dried up, including coffee, maize stems, and other crops which have led to lack of food and fruits, exposing them to low immunity. So my humble prayer, Right, Honorable Speaker, would like to be considered get up water immediately to reduce the rampant diseases caused by the unsafe water. And we are asking the Minister of Disaster Preparedness to consider my people and provide us with some food supplies and seeds. In the office of the Prime Minister, to consider people in Bukomansimbi to get irrigation systems which can help our farmers during the dry seasons. And also the health facilities to have enough drugs in the facilities, because patients walk for long distances and they end up not getting treatment in the health facilities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Honorable, thank you for organizing a medical camp and serving the people. Right, Honorable Prime Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I also join you to thank the member for organizing the medical camp. I will coordinate the ministries concerned, that is the Minister of Health, Minister of Water, and the Minister of Disaster. One, to provide her people with some food, and two, I will contact the Minister of Health to provide you with enough drugs through national medical stores, and also water. I will make sure that the Minister of Water, I will coordinate all the ministries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Honourable member, your question was well and comprehensively written, so I guide that you give a copy to the Prime Minister for easy follow-up. Honourable Tuka Isaac. I committed myself to allow 10 questions, so.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, Anyirbu sub-county is one of the numerous sub-counties in this country without health center 3, as per the government policy in the Madiokolo district. According to the Ministry of Health sub-program and the budget grant implementation guidelines, page 57 of 83, Anyirbu sub-county was allocated 900 million for the establishment of Health Center 3. Right Honorable Speaker, in the draft budget, the 900 million ceiling establishment of the Health Center 3 was reflected. But in the approved budget, final budget, even the 11 million ceilings, which was allocated for a Health Center 2 in the sub-county, was removed alongside the 900 million. So which means the 900 million for the establishment of the Health Center 3 is removed, and even the 11 million for the Health Center 2, which is being run by Madian West Nile Diocese, has also been removed, leaving the sub-county without any support for health services in the sub-county. Right Honorable Speaker, I pray that the 900 million ceilings for the Health Center 3 should be reinstated, and the 11.8 million for the Health Center 2 also should be reinstated. I beg to lay this on table. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, it is true some districts did not absorb money last financial year. And therefore, I will request that the Minister of Health comes here with a report to come and give us the status, whether this money is going to be reinstated. But the challenge is some districts fail to absorb the money.
No, please, Honorable. Right Honorable Prime Minister, instead of the Minister coming to give a statement here, I would guide that you link up with the member, and you link the member and the Minister, because finance usually is the one which takes money, and also finance, to ensure this money is reinstated. That is if it was also in the budget, if it was budgeted. If it was not budgeted, then it would need a supplementary. So that one, Prime Minister, connected. I'm ending with Honorable Anton Akor on this matter. Yes, because when you bring a matter, it's not about how many, it's about a matter. When you bring a matter, I see how urgent that matter is. I have exhausted all the matters that you brought to my office, which were urgent. Those ones which I didn't consider urgent, I'm pushing them to PM's time. Now, I have friends who are making signs to me that you have some matters. Please, you know my office. So next time, just do that. Sign language won't help here.
Honorable Speaker, the matters that we raise in this House is not for individual member of parliament, it's for this nation. So what we raise benefit everybody.
Now, instead of raising your matter, you started.
Honorable Speaker, I rise on matter of national importance. Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Internal Affairs, in their press conference, they raised a very pertinent issue concerning the export of labor of this country. And they said, the Minister said, every company that is exporting labor to the countries outside the country must first make sure that those who are going must have their organs tested. Because there are allegations that has been coming about the sales of human organs which is taking place where they are going to work. And the minister appointed one of the hospitals where all of them have to go for the test to make sure their health and their organs are okay before they go. And that is Victoria Hospital. Right Honorable Speaker, unfortunately, the same Minister of Internal Affairs has withdrawn his own directives for these activities to go on. Right Honorable Speaker, October last year when I visited Dubai, we interacted with our ambassador, and they raised serious issues of people leaving Uganda. Sometimes the embassy is not even aware. And at the end of the day, when they get to problem, they come to the embassy and they were facing a lot of problems. Even resources to transport them back to the country was a problem. Right Honorable Speaker, this issue, if not addressed at the moment, it's really going to affect us Ugandans. We have raised it many times from the 10th Parliament, from the 9th Parliament in this House, how Ugandans are suffering out of this country.
Prayer.
Right Honorable Speaker, my prayers are, one, that the Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs to explain to this House why the same directive by the same ministry is being withdrawn. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister should also explain to the House the human rights violations that is now happening, especially when himself, addressing the press, he said that human organs are sold and the dead bodies are always used to feed the crocodile in the foreign countries. Thirdly, my prayer is the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development to explain to this House the lasting solution for Ugandans working abroad so that these human rights violations should stop. I beg to move. Thank you.
Honourable Minister of Internal Affairs.
Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members, this is a cross-cutting issue that has something to do with gender, very big concern. I request that we work inwards across government to present a more comprehensive paper on the matter, and then I think we shall answer the concerns of the Honourable Member.
Okay.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
No, but he has not allowed you.
No, he's running away, Honourable Minister.
No. You see, it has, no, people, colleagues. No, when a member allows you, he says it on the microphone, so that is captured on the answer. It's recorded. So, thank you. So, Honourable Minister, Wednesday next week, please present a comprehensive statement on this matter. The issue is not the hospital, but the issue is checking of organs. That's what I picked out. Honourable Sesco, procedure? We have a member on procedure already on the floor.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise on a matter of procedure in relation to the Prime Minister's time. Right Honourable Speaker, this is derived from our Rule 41. And usually because there is limited time of 40 minutes, members rise and put issues to the Prime Minister. Is the Right Honourable Prime Minister aware of this? If so, what is the way forward, or how has government handled this matter? But I'm afraid the way we are proceeding, it's as if we are raising matters of public importance, then space is given to ministers to come in. It should be her to invite a minister to clarify or to expound on a point.
But there you're ruling.
No. I'm raising this. Would it be proceeding
Leave
right?
Leave room for me to guide.
So that you restore the rules the way it is, so that as many questions can be raised, rather than engaging in matters of public importance that attract debates. Right, Honourable Speaker, we proceeded right.
Thank you. Honourable colleague, if you had come here on time, if you had come here at 2 when we started the session, I informed the House how the Prime Minister was not going to be here today. She had communicated to me, and I said because of that I'm going to allow many questions, many issues which members had, and they were burning issues, and the ministers were here to respond to these issues. That's why we've taken this wrong. Now, I made my commitment. Then in the process, the Prime Minister came and she told me No, now she has come. So, but I had already made my commitment and informed the members. So we are proceeding right. Otherwise, we usually allow 5 questions maximum. But also, whatever member submits here is very important. Whether the response has come from a prime minister, whether it is from the minister, what a member sometimes needs is a response. And the constituents are watching. They want to see their member representing them and being heard. So we are proceeding well. Procedure, Pachuto.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, rise on the matter of procedure. Last week, Right Honorable Speaker, I did rise on the same issue. We passed here the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 3 months ago. And 3 months ago, since then, we have not heard of whether the President has returned the bill or assented to it, Right Honorable Speaker. And the Attorney General did promise the House and Uganda that he would report back. It is now going to the 2nd week. Right Honorable Speaker, we have the fisheries community, a good percentage of Ugandans who could be quite helped if this bill comes into force in the form of an act. Because right now the Fisheries Protection Unit is implementing the operations which is outside what is in that bill. Right Honorable Speaker, are we therefore proceeding right not to get, now that the Prime Minister is here, the Minister of State for Fisheries is here, not to get a response, to give assurance to the people, the fisheries community in this country, and the Fisheries Protection Unit to operate within the law, Right Honorable Speaker? Are we proceeding right?
Yeah, Honorable colleague, we are proceeding very well because this matter was raised yesterday on this floor. That's why you have to be here every day. Yes, that's why you have to be here every day. It was raised yesterday, and the Speaker guided very well on the matter, and you're going to get a response. Thank you. So next item.
Item 3.
Sorry, Honorable Yeri. Colleague. Yes, Honorable Yeri.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Last year, 28th of September 2021, I raised a humble petition for the lock-up owners and vendors of Toro Market. And the thing was, what they did was they gave it to the Minister of Local Government to come with the report. I raised it under Rule 30, Rules of Procedure of Parliament. But up to now, we have not got the result. Are we proceeding well?
Honourable Minister of Local Government.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker. This afternoon I communicated to the member raising this point that I've been assigned to travel to his constituency on Tuesday next week to solve the problem. And I promise I will. We have already solved for Kasese, had a similar problem. We are heading to Gulu, but I'm starting with his since he brought it on the floor of Parliament. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, whenever you raise matters and for over a month you have not received any response from the minister, please reach out to the presiding officers so that we can link with the minister. We don't even need to come here. Sometimes we make a call, we say, Honourable Minister of Energy, this colleague raised a matter, you promised to act, but you have not acted. So I think, please be watchful, keep watching so that we don't delay this much. But Honourable Yeri, I hope, Honourable Minister, you have invited the members of Parliament for those areas where you're going. You need to inform them so that they are there.
Through the same member of Parliament, I promise, Right Honourable Speaker, that they will know, starting with today, through the scientific means.
Thank you. Honourable Chivumbi had a procedure matter. Colleagues, procedure on is now becoming...
Right Honourable Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. Right Honourable Speaker, I raised on the matter of procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, on June 2nd, I wrote to the Clerk to Parliament requesting, as the Shadow Minister for Finance, requesting for a resolution on the termination agreement between Government of Uganda and Uganda Vince Coffee Company Limited. I wrote to the clerk requesting him to avail me a copy of the parliamentary resolution. I copied that letter to your office, to the Speaker, to the Leader of Opposition, to the Government Chief Whip, and the Opposition Chief Whip. I never received an answer. I took 1 month. On June 15th, I wrote another letter to the clerk. The other one was June 2nd. This was July 15th. I wrote a second letter to the clerk to Parliament requesting the clerk to avail me the same resolution. I copied it to you, and I copied it to all the relevant officers, the Chief Whip, the Opposition Chief Whip. I never received any response. Matters are moving in the media regarding Vince Coffee. And I'm so keen now in post-legislative scrutiny because the resolutions of Parliament must be abided with. But for me to make a conclusive regard whether it was tampered with or it is still as Parliament resolved, I need that resolution. The clerk has failed to heed to my requests. So as Parliament, as we proceed to pass resolutions and others, if the clerk continues to decline, I know under the law, I can move to the High Court and compel him to give him this resolution. But it would be prudent that I first exhaust the internal mechanisms. So here is, I beg for your indulgence. Right Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable colleague. Please, tomorrow at 3 p.m., meet me in my office. I'll arrange a meeting with the clerk so that we look into this matter. Because I believe if we had done that, it would have moved quicker. It would have moved quicker. So I'm going to ensure that indeed we follow up on this matter together with the ROP and my colleague, the Speaker, and the clerk. Thank you. Next item.
Item 3, statement by Minister on the status of the parish development model.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a procedural matter. On Tuesday this week.
But how do you rise when you don't have my permission? Honorable Minister, proceed.
Right Honorable Speaker, as per your instructions, the Minister of Finance was asked to present a report.
Honorable Minister, just take your seat a minute to allow a member to raise his procedural matter.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, on Tuesday this week, the Speaker directed the Minister of Finance to present a schedule of disbursements of the Roads Fund on Wednesday, which was yesterday. She also directed that he presents the status of the parish development model. The procedural matter that I'm raising is that wouldn't it be procedurally right that he also presents the status of the schedule for the disbursements of funds for the road maintenance in this quarter, alongside presenting the status of the parish development model. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, the Speaker directed.
Right Honorable Speaker, indeed the Speaker directed. And yesterday I came ready to present that report. Unfortunately, there was no space on the order paper, and I walked to the Speaker to allow me present it, and she said I would present it on next Tuesday.
Please submit it formally, submit the document formally so that we can get for it space. on the
Most
order
obliged,
paper.
Right Honorable.
Thank you.
Yes, so, Right Honorable, I'm presenting a report on the status of the parish development model to date. Introduction. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the Uganda National Household Survey 2019-2020 found that despite the numerous efforts by both the state and the non-state actors, 39% of Uganda's households are still stuck in subsistence, living hand to mouth. This translates to approximately 16 million Ugandans countrywide. They are the most poverty-stricken, landless, vulnerable, and unemployed. They are trapped in the vicious cycle of low income, low savings, low investment, and low income. The PDM is a multi-sectoral strategy to create socioeconomic transformation by moving the 39% households still stuck in subsistence to the money economy, using the parish/ward as the epicenter for planning, budgeting, and service delivery. Right Honorable Speaker, PDM is a multi-sectoral transformative intervention focused around the following 7 pillars. The first pillar is production, processing, storage, and marketing. The second pillar is infrastructure and economic services. The third pillar is financial inclusion. The fourth pillar is social services. The fifth pillar is community mobilization and mindset change. The sixth pillar is community information system. And the seventh pillar is the governance and administration pillar. The parish development model, commonly called PDM, was launched by His Excellency the President on 26 February 2022 in Kibuku district. Subsequently, government rolled out the PDM countrywide in the fourth quarter of 2021-2022. Right Honorable Speaker, I turn to the rollout of the parish development model. Right Honorable Speaker, the rollout of the PDM involved the following activities: community awareness and sensitization, the rollout of the PDM information, data collection on households and other issues, enterprise selection and group formation, and the PDM circle establishment. The status to date. A, funding the parish development model. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, in the financial year 2021-2022, the total revised budget was 234.3 billion shillings, of which 200 billion shillings was the initial approved budget, and shillings 34.2 billion was supplementary funding. By the end of the financial year 2021-2022, 139.38 billion shillings had been released as indicated in Table 1 below, and that represents 60% of the budget performance in the financial year. In Table 1, Right Honorable Speaker, we present the PDM funding in the financial year 2021-2022, broken down in billions of shillings. I do not know whether I should go into the details of this, but I will endeavor to summarize it.
No, Honorable, we have the statement.
Okay.
It's uploaded. Just tell us the total.
Right Honorable Speaker, since you have the table as you have guided, let me now move to item B, which actually relates to this table. That out of the 200 billion shillings approved budget, Uganda shillings 182.25 billion was appropriated to the local governments for the following parish development model activities. A, 125.39 billion was provided for the parish revolving fund, and only 62.69 billion was released, while 62.69 billion was actually not released. B, Uganda shillings 10.5 billion was provided for administrative costs to cater for office and overhead costs. All these funds were released to the local government by the end of the financial year. C, shillings 28.79 billion shillings was appropriated as staff costs for the recruitment of parish chiefs and town agents. All these funds were released to the local governments. D, shilling 17.83 billion was appropriated for gadgets and tools. Only shillings 11.87 billion was released by the end of the financial year, while 5.95 billion shillings was not released. Right Honourable Speaker, the funds that were not released was on the account of non-readiness of the local governments and the parish circles. The ministry could not release funds for circles that had not yet been formed and members/beneficiaries that had not yet been identified, because it is a process. C, funding to the central government institutions. Additionally, 17.48 billion was appropriated to central government votes to undertake PDM prior actions. Underline that word, prior actions, in the financial year 2021-2022, as indicated in Table 1 above. Of that 17.48 billion, 4 billion was appropriated to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, UBOS, for data collection. All these funds were released in financial year 2021-2022, but those funds were totally inadequate. B, Uganda shillings 2.98 billion was appropriated to the Ministry of Local Government for operationalization of the PDM Secretariat. However, only 1 billion shillings was released in financial year 2021-2022, leaving a balance of 1.98 billion unreleased. C, shillings 8.8 billion was appropriated under Ministry of Information Communication Technology and National Guidance for the development of the Pdm information system, which was about designing the system that will be used to operate the parish model and data collection. Only shillings 5.48 billion was released, while 3.32 billion was not released in the financial year 2021-2022. In D, shillings 1.7 billion was appropriated under Kampala City Council, Kampala City Council Authority, KCCA, for the revolving fund. That is shillings 1.17 billion, and administrative costs of 0.1 billion. Staff costs for recruitment of town agents, 0.27 billion, and gadgets and tools, 0.17 billion. All these funds were released to KCCA by the end of financial year 2021-2022. Right Honourable Speaker, honourable members, you will also recall that during the financial year, Parliament under Supplementary Schedule Number 1 of financial year 2021-2022 approved additional PDM funding amounting to 34.3 billion shillings, as indicated in Table 1 above. The additional funding was allocated as follows. 3 billion shillings was provided for community mobilization and mindset change under the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. All these funds had been released by the end of the financial year 2021-2022. B, 31.3 billion was appropriated to the Ministry of Local Government as follows. 10.3 billion shillings as funding for preliminary activities under the national rollout strategy for the PDM in financial year 2021-2022. All these funds had been released by the end of the financial year. The 20.9 billion shillings was appropriated. Right, Honourable Speaker, I'm using the word appropriated to mean that the money was actually approved by this Parliament under the Ministry of Local Government for onward transfer to beneficiary local government as top-up funding for the parish revolving fund. However, these funds were not released in financial year 2021-2022. By implication, therefore, some of the parishes did not receive the planned 17 million shillings in financial year 2021-2022. Right, Honourable Speaker, the reason is that one was not released. Right, Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the approved budget for PDM in financial year 2022-23 amounts to 1,142.05 billion shillings. In other words, about 1.1 trillion shillings, of which shillings 1,059.4 billion shillings was appropriated for the revolving funds. By implication, Uganda shillings 100 million has been provided for each of the 10,594 parishes. And these funds were appropriated to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to enable direct disbursement of the revolving funds to the bank accounts of the PDM circles that are ready upon validation and confirmation of the particulars of the members. Uganda shillings 125 billion has been released in the first quarter as summarized in table 2 below. Right, Honourable Speaker, you can clearly see in that table we have the revolving fund appropriated under the Ministry of Finance. The figures I've mentioned and the quarter one release is indicated. But we have also money released to various agencies under the National Coordination System. And all those agencies are listed there, and the figures that were allocated to them and the releases made to them in the first quarter have all been indicated. Right, Honourable Speaker, of the shillings 1,142.05 billion that was appropriated under the various votes to cater for PDM activities, this financial year 134.83 billion shillings, call it 11.81%, has so far been released. In D, I present the status of implementation. Right, Honourable Speaker, the status of implementation of the PDM is as follows. General PDM Implementation Guidelines were issued by the Ministry of Local Government, and I have a copy here. The guidelines provide a conceptual framework for PDM, the principles that underpin PDM, the 7 pillars and their delivery mechanism, stakeholder roles, and results framework. 2, operational guidelines were developed and issued for pillars 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7. So all those pillars have a guideline. For example, this is the guideline for the pillar on financial inclusion. Additionally, the PDM Circle Model Bylaw was developed and deployed. Number 3, that business development services and financial literacy content was developed and captured in the harmonized PDM Trainers Guide. This is aimed at promoting a business mindset in the target beneficiary households. And that's why we are talking about mindset change. 4, countrywide district mobilization and sensitization activities were led by Cabinet from 21st June to 3rd July 2022 targeting district leaders. All ministers went across the country to sensitize the leaders about the parish model. The activity directly benefited 17,872 leaders. Community awareness and sensitization was also undertaken. 63 national trainers were identified and trained. The national trainers in turn facilitated the training of trainers for 885 district level officers from all local governments. 15 cultural and religious institutions were also sensitized. As of 30th June 2022, household data had been collected from 3,275,088 households, constituting 34% coverage. Data collection was completed in 5 districts. This is the 100% coverage of households in those 5 districts. Then districts are Bukedea, Butebo, Kabong, Ngora, and Rukungiri municipality. This exercise is still ongoing, and 64 local governments have already achieved 50% coverage in terms of data collection. District and municipal commercial officers from 176 local governments, because these are very key in implementing this model, were oriented on the expected deliverables, timelines, and reporting under financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is where the money for the revolving fund is. At 5 regional workshops, these regional workshops, the regions representing the country were Mbarara, Kampala, Gulu, Soroti, and Mbale. The workshops were held on 6 May 2022. Interinstitutional technical support teams were set up and deployed countrywide from 6th to 30th June 2022 to support and supervise the local governments during the PDM rollout. As at 31st July 2022, a total of 8,267 PDM circles, that is 78%, had been registered by the Registrar of Cooperatives under the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. The PDM circles are registered under the Cooperative Societies Act as amended. The Registrar of Cooperatives subjected the PDM circle applications recommended by the local government to a robust checklist, which is attached here as Annex A. The way forward, Right Honourable Speaker. It is true that some parishes and wards did not receive the planned shilling 17 million as parish revolving fund in the financial year 2021-2022. However, this is mainly on account of non-readiness, because we are transmitting the money direct to the circles and not to the local government. For instance, the ministry has established that 3,914 PDM circles had not yet been registered by 30th July 2022, while some were registered after the closure of the financial year. By implication, therefore, some of the revolving funds were returned to the consolidated fund at the end of the financial year 2021-2022 in accordance with the law. As a way forward, therefore, the ministry shall fast track the actions below. 1. The revolving funds that had been released to the local governments but were returned to the consolidated fund at the end of the financial year 2021-22 will be provided to the respective parishes upon validation of the PDM circles registered. Additional funding shall be provided to ensure that each parish/ward receives the established shortfalls on the Uganda shilling 17 million planned for financial year 2021-2022, over and above the approved budget for the financial year 2022-2023. Right now, I think I should clarify here that in this financial year, the circles shall receive 100 million shillings. But wherever there is a shortfall, that shortfall will be sent to the circles that are affected. The ministry is currently reviewing all work plans and budgets for the Pdm implementing MDAs in financial year 2022-2023 to ensure seamless alignment of the financial year 2022-23 budget and Pdm. The ministry, through the Accountant General's Office, has enrolled Pdm circles on the Integrated Financial Management System, commonly called IFMIS. This is aimed at ensuring direct disbursement of funds to the beneficiary Pdm circle bank accounts. In the future, we plan to release the parish revolving funds in 2 tranches, in July and January, so that the beneficiary households can plant their crops by the start of the 2 major rain seasons in many parts of the country. Furthermore, the following shall be done in order to ensure the success of the Pdm. A, complete baseline data collection exercise countrywide. I mentioned that we are at 34%, but we have to achieve 100% data collection. Activate full Pdm operations activities under all the pillars. C, expedite the Operation Wealth Creation-led exercise to validate and verify membership in Pdm circles. Local governments were directed to publicly display lists of members at sub-county and parish levels. D, support local governments to complete establishment of the remaining 3,914 Pdm circles and take corrective actions on the basis of verification. E, conduct first general meetings to appoint substantive leaders for the registered Pdm circles and adopt resolutions on bank account signatories. F, conduct training for leaders of registered Pdm circles on circle governance, loan management, records keeping, and good agricultural practices. Standard record templates shall also be provided to the Pdm circle at the trainings. G, roll out the parish development management information system. H, establish a grievance redress mechanism for Pdm circles and enterprise groups. Right Honorable Speaker, and honorable members, I beg to submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Colleagues, such a statement as per Rule 52, Sub-Rule 2 of our Rules of Procedure may be debated. Please listen to me. Just take your seats and you listen to the speaker. Okay? The rules do not say shall. They say may be debated. And I want this matter debated. But, colleagues, you remember the House gave the same assignment to the Committee on Public Service and Local Governments. And their report was ready. Honorable Nzima brought the report. And as presiding officers, we guided that we wait for the statement of the Minister on Finances, which we shall again give to the committee to update theirs. Because with these figures, such a figures and all that, colleagues, it would be unfair. I don't think you will substantively debate. So I want the chairman of the committee to take this statement. You call a meeting of your committee on Monday. You update your report by including information from this statement. And on Wednesday, we shall debate, we shall have your report and debate comprehensively this matter for 1 hour. Okay?
Mr. Speaker, most obliged. We shall take this and add it onto our report. Otherwise, the previous works report, as you had said, was already ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But
too.
also this statement, crack for purposes of clarity, it's not an update, a status of the parish development model, because it does not fall under the Minister of Finance. It's the Minister of Local Government which is in charge. So it should be made very clear that on the funding, it's for funding, because Minister of Finance is in charge of only one pillar, which is financial inclusion. So we need it to be very clear so that it reads properly. It's an update on the funding of the parish development model. Honorable Kazin, we have already sent the statement to the committee. You will wait until Wednesday.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not debating. Mine is an issue.
Honorable, you don't speak in a microphone unless you're given permission by the presiding officer. Now, colleagues, we are going to do Prime Minister's time for 1 hour, then we do the petition from West Nile. So Prime Minister's time will end at exactly 13 minutes past 5. So,
Prime Minister's time.
I needed to update my Prime Minister that the rules changed. Prime Minister's time is now 1 hour. And please avail her with the new rules. Colleagues, Right Honourable Prime Minister, I will need it first amend the order paper to allow you present a statement on the business for the succeeding week as per Rule 28 of our Rules of Procedure. And then after that, also another item, which will be Prime Minister's time. Honorable Kazini, do you have a procedure matter? Because you see, colleagues, when you keep making a sign to me here, like this, sometimes it's, I can get offended, the signs you make. Yes, yes, because a colleague has been making that sign, but I know there is something. If you want to, colleague, if it's a matter of procedure, you tell me. But if it's on a matter which we've already ruled, please. Is it procedure? It's fine.
Mine is a burning issue, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Under what?
Whereas training were carried out in every local government in Uganda,
Yes.
my district, Shikube, my local government leaders were not trained. I therefore request that the minister concerned considers Chikube for that particular training.
Honorable Minister concerned, please do so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. But clerk.
Statement of business by the leader of government business.
For business of succeeding week.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I have information for Chikube because the minister has reported to me. Chikube, the civil servants there, were receiving bribes from people. And when the minister went there, the communities were bitter. They reported to the minister. There is a district councillor who wanted to beat the minister. And that's why the minister backed off. So it's not like they did not train. The minister went there, but he was fought by some councillors of Chikube.
I hope you took action, right, Honorable.
And therefore, I thought the Honorable Kazini should be updated. Right, Honorable Speaker, I move under Rule 28 of our Rules of Procedure that requires me, as leader of government business, to make a statement in the House regarding government business for the succeeding week. I'm therefore here by submitting the following business for next week. That is 16th to 18th August of 2022. 1. The Partnership Amendment Bill 2022. 2. The Trustee Incorporation Amendment Bill 2022. And 3. The Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2022. And 4. The Anti-Terrorism Amendment Bill 2022. And lastly, the Anti-Money Laundering Bill 2022. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to move.
Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. For record purposes, they will be submitted for first reading.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes.
To take note.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues.
They need to call the item, Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Okay.
Prime Minister's time.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Honorable Etuka Isaac Joaquin, Member of Parliament, Upper Madi County. He gave a lengthy background, and I want to read verbatim. Says objective 22 of the national objectives and directive principles of state policy requires the state to encourage people to grow and store food reserves and encourage proper nutrition through mass education. International treaties and conventions to which Uganda ratified recognize that the right to adequate food is a human right. Article 25(1) of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 11(1) of the International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights both provide for the right to everyone to adequate standard of living, including adequate food. Article 11(2) recognizes the need for more immediate and urgent steps to ensure the fundamental right to freedom from hunger and malnutrition. Uganda ratified the ICESCR in 1987 and recognizes the importance of food and nutrition in the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. His prayer. Right Honorable Prime Minister, what short, medium, and long-term plans does the government of Uganda have to repossess and establish regional food reserves to eliminate the current shame where people are dying of hunger in the Karamoja sub-region? Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Government of Uganda, this is my response. Government of Uganda has embarked on 5 approaches to enhance food security in the country. In short term, government through the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries is in advanced stages to undertake large-scale food production, leveraging government land held by UPDF, Uganda Prison Service, the National Enterprise Corporation, the National Leadership Institute, and the MAIF agencies, NARO and AGRIC and DB, amounting to 109,989 hectares. This follows approval proposals to enhance food and animal feed security tabled before Cabinet. These have been mobilized to produce mainly food security crops like maize, beans, soybeans, and sorghum. This is expected to commence in this current planting season. Honorable Speaker, number 2, in the medium term, government is mobilizing large-scale farmers across the districts of Uganda who have capacity for large-scale food production. The immediate target farmer cluster has an average of 100,014,661 acres. We expect that these will be ready to commence planting activities in March 2023 planting cycle. However, MAIF will continue registering all farmers with acreage starting from 10 acres, which can be committed to production of a particular crop or enterprise using district agriculture extension staff and other government structures. Ministry of Agriculture, together with the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, are partnering with key private sector players in the relevant value chains in regard to enhancing their storage capacity to avoid scarcity. Ministry of Agriculture plans to construct regional export grain bulking centers to process grain from farmers in local catchment areas with the capacity to receive already cleaned and dried maize in its wider vicinity for long-term storage in the large on-site silos. The 4 proposed locations are Silonko, Masindi, Lira, and Muvendi. Construction is expected to commence in November 2022. Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries is working on a strategy for national food reserves for consideration by Cabinet. The second question, Right Honorable Speaker, is from Honorable Narule Aisha Kabanda, Butambala. She was like, there is a cohesion of Muslim women and girls to unveil while taking passport-size photos at passport offices and institutions of learning that did not recognize veils as part of the school uniform. This, according to her, is a violation of the right to freedom of religion, which includes the freedom to manifest a religion or belief in worship, observance, practice, and teaching. And teaching as enshrined in Article 29(1)(c) of the Constitution, International Standards Organization, and International Civil Aviation Organization guidelines. Her prayer is that can the Prime Minister inform the House how this matter is going to be addressed. Right Honorable Speaker, this is the second time she's asking this question. The response is the Ministry of Internal Affairs and its affiliate institution that include the Directorate of Citizenship and Migration Control, which is directly responsible for the administration and efficient issuance of passports and travel documents, implements their lawful mandates cognizant of all rights and freedom of people. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the Directorate, at the time of introducing the electronic passport of East Africa in Uganda, the Ministry of Internal Affairs issued a statement to the 10th Parliament outlining the procedures, which include 1. The photo requirements, 2. Standards of applying, 3. Enrolling and issuance of electronic passports. These were presented and approved by Parliament of Uganda. The International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, has stipulated certain mandatory specifications for passport photos. The salient points of the ICAO specifications that are in turn implemented by the Directorate are as follows. A. Images that images should be 2 inch by 2 inches. The images must have adequate brightness and contrast. The skin tone should be natural. It should show a close-up of the head and partial shoulders. The image should be straight looking, centered with neutral expression. Face should be in sharp focus and clear with no ink marks or lines. The face from forehead edge to bottom of the chin should be 70 to 80% of the photo or 1 inch height. The eyes must be open and no hair obscuring the face. Prescription glasses, if worn, should be clear and thin framed and should not have flash reflection or obscure the eyes. Head covering are not permitted except for religious reasons, but your facial features from bottom of the chin to top of the forehead and both edges of your face must be clearly shown. The photo must have plain light background. There must be no other people or object in the photo. The light must be uniform with no shadows on the face or behind. Red eyes photos are not allowed. Accordingly, passports with photos that do not match the above ECAO photo specifications are liable to be rejected by immigration authorities globally and could result in extreme inconvenience to the passport holder. Passport applicants are therefore advised not to submit photos with any of the defects listed above. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, we call upon you and all the members of public to take a note of these photo requirements to avoid being inconvenienced. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Ministry of Internal Affairs has committed to ensure that officials are continuously trained on the national and international requirements. Where and in the unlikely event that any of the officers fall short of these standards to guide the passport enrollment process, which infringes the right and the freedom of all people, including Muslim women and girls, it will invite sanctions against the offending officers. Question number 3, Right Honorable Speaker, is from Honorable Fiona Nyamutoro, the National Female Youth Member of Parliament. She was like, Right Honorable Prime Minister, there has been an outcry of missing files at police stations as a result of manual recording of cases. Her prayer is, what is government's plan in addressing this challenge? Honorable Speaker, my response is that government, through Uganda Police Force, has commenced the process of digitalizing the recording of cases reported at police stations countrywide. The system is referred to as the Criminal Record Management System that is intended to avert incidents of case file disappearance, mismanagement during and after investigations to ensure timely follow-up of cases. The system will ease the work of police and all security agencies in tracking, detecting, and reporting of all crimes. It will also keep track of all criminals. The system intends to minimize errors arising from duplicating the same information relating to the reported cases. Honorable Speaker, number 4, Honorable Etuka Isaac Joachim, Member of Parliament, Upper Madi County. On school feeding program, the children in Uganda, particularly those of the poor and urban poor, are studying on empty stomachs. This affects their concentration in classes, hence poor performance. Whereas those in the middle class who afford food for their children, they are fed on unhealthy food, which promotes non-communicable diseases. His prayer is when his government coming up with a clear school feeding policy and a bill that regulates safety of food for school children. Honorable Speaker, my response is the linkage between school feeding and learning outcomes is uncontested, and various studies have demonstrated that quality and safe food directly improves cognitive development among children, school enrollment, and school attendance, learners' participation, and concentration in the classroom. Therefore, government recognizes school feeding as a strategic opportunity for schools to optimize education achievement by preparing and nurturing children and youth into health and productive adults, and is working to have this policy in place as soon as possible. Honorable colleagues, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, as you may be aware, the Ministry of Education, Pre-Primary and Primary and Post-Primary Act 2008 under Section 5 provides the responsibilities of government and those of parents and guardians. The responsibilities of government are under Section 5.1, which include, among others, that is 1, provision of learning and instructional materials. 2, structural development and teachers' welfare. Recruiting, deployment, and promotion of both teaching and non-teaching staff. And ensuring equitable distribution of education institutions. The responsibilities of parents and guardians under Section 5.2 include, among others, 1, registering their children of school-going age at school. Then 2, providing parental guidance and psychosocial welfare to their children. And 3, providing food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and transport. In 2021, the Ministry of Education and Sports embarked on the process of drafting the National Food Feeding Policy. The draft regulatory impact assessment report and the draft National School Feeding Policy were developed. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Ministry of Education and Sports is now at the state of stakeholders consultation on the draft regulatory impact assessment and the draft National School Feeding Policy. Honorable Speaker and members, the honorable members of Parliament, after the consultations, the next stage will be to prepare an action plan to determine the cost requirements for the National School Feeding Policy in order to secure a certificate of financial implications from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in view of the above, the draft National School Feeding Policy will be submitted to Cabinet for approval. Number 5, the Honorable Etuk Isaac Joachim, Member of Parliament, Upper Madi County, asked another question. That Right Honorable Prime Minister, as you are aware, Agriculture Cluster Development Project is a 6-year development project which officially expired in March 2022. In the financial year 2020-2021, the ministry allocated 4.5 billion for rehabilitation of road shocks in Madiokoro district, and the list of roads were submitted to the ministry accordingly. To date, no work is done on all roads in Madiokoro. His prayer is that can government assure Ugandans in that part of the country as to when the stalled and submitted projects in all the districts under the CDP program will resume and be completed. My response, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, is that there are 4 districts where the Agricultural Cluster Development Project Road Chokes project works are still ongoing. These are Butareja, Tororo, Mpigi, and Madiokoro. In the case of Mpigi and Madiokoro, the bids returned quotes above the budget. And this situation is being handled by the procurement office. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the project expired in March 2022. That is true. And a non-cost extension of 18 months was granted to enable the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, the implementing agency for the Agriculture Cluster Development Project, to finalize all the pending activities, including road chokes, rehabilitative work. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the phased procurement process for the road chokes rehabilitative works has been completed, contracts signed, and the works at different stages of implementation, except for the works in the districts of Butareja, Tororo, whose works procurement process is still ongoing. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Rule 41, Sub-Rule 8A provides that the time allocated to the Prime Minister, at least not more than 40% shall be allocated to written questions. 41, Sub-Rule 8B says not more than 20 minutes for oral questions. So I hereby open up oral questions, and we should be done with the Prime Minister's time by 5 exactly. No, it's not allowed. Read Rule 41. Yes. Under Prime Minister's time, only the leader of opposition can give a response. That's Rule 41, Sub-Rule 9 of our Rules of Procedure. Honorable Tima, I will ensure that I balance of colleagues, okay? So let me just pick a few here, ensure the opposition, independence, and reading side are all represented.
Thank you very much.
Very sharp. I don't want written, because these are oral. Sharp, 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm Watima Jackson Libuti, Member of Parliament, Central Division, Arua City. I rise under Rule 41B of the Rules of Procedure of this Parliament on a matter that concerns Ugandans. I want to raise this to the Right Honorable Prime Minister. What is the government's stimulus plan for the transport sector? Aware that the government has such similar plans to revamp sectors like education and tourism. This is because of COVID-19 effects that has affected so many issues. You realize that in the developments in the world, like high fuel prices, supply shortages, and so on. That has grossly affected the transport sector. Right Honorable Speaker.
No, Honorable, your 1 minute is done.
Right
Please.
Honorable Speaker, may I just put my question now?
Please.
The point I'm raising is concerning one particular business sector in my constituency.
Okay, let me guide you, Honorable. Allow your speaker to
Thank
guide
you.
Questions for oral answer are sharp questions that don't require reading, because the Prime Minister is also going to go back and read. Okay? So they should be answers which a Prime Minister can give right away. Otherwise, if there are questions that require such a comprehensive answer, like the one you've asked, then it should be a written question so that the Prime Minister can go back. So I will not allow Honorable Tima to ask such a question. Please, the rest I've guided you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The question I was raising is concerning one key company that has closed business 1 month ago, that is Gaga Bus Services, that has been so popular in this country. Because of the situation, the economic situation, Gaga Bus Company closed the business. People have been rendered jobless. Revenues, both local and national, has been affected. How can the government help such a business? Thank you very much.
I wish you had started like that. Yes, that was now sharp and...
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the government put money in the development bank, and we have been encouraging such companies to go and borrow from the banks of government.
Honorable Nambozo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and members, I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for being on spot when we had disasters in Bugisu. But Right Honorable Prime Minister, Sironko District had so many bridges washed away. Right Honorable Speaker, we are requesting that the Honorable Prime Minister gives the directive, as she always does, to the Ministry of Works and Transport to enable the people of Sironko be able to move around and do their business as usual if they reinstate the bridges that were washed away. Thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Prime Minister's office, using the Prime Minister's delivery unit, made an assessment in the Elgon region. We found out that some of these bridges that were washed out belong to the districts. However, some of the districts don't have capacity to replace these bridges, and one of them is Lonko and many other districts in the region. And therefore, we agreed together with the Ministry of Works, we had a meeting last week, that the districts will be helped by the ministry to make sure that we replace these bridges. Those that are under UNRA, the Ministry of Works will work on them. So we are in touch with the Ministry of Finance to make sure that we provide some funding to the districts to replace those bridges.
Thank you. Nakaseke Central.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I'm Anja Alan from Nakaseke Central. Right Honorable Speaker, recently the Electoral Commission suspended the Women Council elections, saying that it was given little money, just only 15 billion out of 35 billion allocated or appropriated by the Parliament for this exercise. Right Honorable Prime Minister, women are asking, when will this activity be conducted? And those people who participated in the voter pinning and whatever, those people were not paid. So we need a clarification and to answer that. Thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Uganda Electoral Commission was very clear that they did not have enough money. Right Honorable Speaker, I will come with a comprehensive report about the same next week.
Thank you.
I don't have an accurate answer now.
Moroto Municipality.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Through you, I want to raise a matter.
Hey, you're on. You're on, Honorable.
Yeah. Recently, 70 billion shillings was allocated to Ministry of Water and Environment to address the issue of water shortage in Karamoja, especially in regard to the valley dams. But apparently, we got information that that money ended up in the Ministry of Agriculture. And from our experience, the valley dams that were built originally by Ministry of Agriculture did not serve the purpose because they seem not to have the expertise in that matter. So how are we going to solve this kind of confusion, especially when another ministry is taking money that belongs to a different ministry, yet they don't have the expertise? Thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Ministry of Water has got its own budget. The 70 billion was given to the Ministry of Agriculture to handle irrigation schemes. The Ministry of Water, its role is to provide bulk water up to the farm gate. And the Ministry of Agriculture gets the water from the gate and distributes it to the farm. And therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, we have had meetings and we have agreed with the Ministry of Water and the Ministry of Agriculture under my chair, including Cabinet. There is no need for our ministries to collide. There are two staffs. One was a technical staff called Kato in the Ministry now of Water, who was once a technical officer in the Ministry of Agriculture. He and another technical staff are the ones who are at loggerheads. We are handling this matter to its logical conclusion.
Entebbe Municipality.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. For record, I'm Salongo Kakembo Mikaeli Mbote Kamwa, MP Entebbe Municipality. Right Honorable Speaker, through you, like to ask the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, Entebbe Grade B Hospital is now a regional referral hospital. It was gazetted during COVID-19 lockdown to manage only COVID-19 patients. A few weeks ago, it was open to the public now, but it had a problem with the water and the toilet supplies. All of them are broken down. As I speak now, the staff in Entebbe Grade B Hospital and the patients cannot even wash their hands. The hygiene and the health status of Entebbe Grade B Hospital.
Your question.
My question, I wrote to the Minister of Health and he promised that by this week it will be settled, but up to now it is not. My question to you, Honorable Prime Minister, when is Entebbe Grade B Hospital water and the toilet system be fully functional?
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm aware of the situation in Entebbe Regional Referral Hospital. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Health was waiting for a release, which release came last week. And they are going to handle that issue immediately.
Thank you. Ruhinda South.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, in the year 2018, we passed a loan here for agricultural supply chain and value addition, where Mitoma district was among. But to my surprise, up to today, it has never been implemented. May I know when is the implementation going to be done? I thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I don't have a direct answer now. I will go back and inquire from the Ministry of Agriculture why this loan is not performing.
Otuke?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, my name is Abeja Susan Jolly, woman MP Otuke District. It is coming to a month that we wrote a letter to your office that our people are dying of hunger. It was last week, one of your commissioner presented a schedule for Otuke to give us food on Monday, and also did mention to my people, and are waiting for food. My people, others who are sick of HIV, they've even now refused to take ARV because they don't have food, and my people are dying. What can I do, and whom should I contact? Because I don't have answer to my people. Thank you.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I saw a communication from a colleague, and we in the Prime Minister's office, when that communication came, that was the time when we had issues in Mbale, and we thought we should handle Mbale first, but I want to promise a colleague that Utuke people will be served.
Thank you. Honorable Kisa.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I'm a very regular user of the Jinja-Kampala Highway. It is now about 4 years. The people were compensated. Government compensated the people. A contractor was obtained to construct the Jinja-Kampala Express Highway. The current status, Right Honourable Speaker, is that where people were compensated, fraudulent people have started occupying that very place where the highway could easily pass. I wanted to get a progressive status about this Jinja-Kampala Express Highway, Right Honourable.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I will bring an update. I don't have a direct answer now.
Next week you can answer it as part of the written responses. Dr. Waiga.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, the Rural Electrification Agency, having been halted its activities and taken to a vote where we thought that improvements were going to be effected, we have not seen any improvement at all, and our people would like to have power lines extended to their villages. You remember that we, the people of Buigwe, came and saw you, and you had directed the Minister of Energy to ensure that this is done immediately. We pass a budget. Would you like to inform us when activities for extension of power lines will resume? Thank you.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, now that my minister and the sister is here, I request her to help me answer that question.
1 minute. We are using 1 minute because I still have colleagues I have.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honourable Prime Minister. We have actually seen work resuming. I've been commissioning a number of projects that had stalled. I promised Honourable Lurume that I'll get back to him.
Okay.
Yes.
The Honourable colleague next, Komakech.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. My name is Kenny Auma, woman member of Parliament for Kwania District. My question to the Prime Minister is about the road equipment that were supposed to be procured for the newly created district
Kwania, being one of the districts, has not yet received the road equipment. Thank you so much.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, there are some new districts and new town and municipal councils that have not yet been provided with the road equipment. This Parliament appropriated the money to have them procured, and the procurement process is ongoing. Thank you so much.
Honourable Josephat.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Many administrative units have been put in place, and more so town councils. I have about 2 town councils in my constituency, but one of them does not have a garbage truck. The other one, that is the other town council, and Kakumu Town Council's garbage truck is also a DMC. A lot of garbage is being generated.
What's a DMC? You know, parliamentary language is clear, Honourable.
It's a vehicle that is in dangerous mechanical condition.
Very good.
Which is about to give way. Right Honourable Speaker, a lot of garbage is generated on a daily basis. Many people are moving into urban centers for possibly financial opportunities. My question to the Right Honourable Prime Minister. Many town councils have got garbage trucks. When is she considering giving us at least one garbage truck for Girls Town Council? Thank you.
Right Honourable Prime Minister, that's your district.
Thank you so much, brother. Igayaza Town Council is in Kakumiro district, where I'm a member of parliament. If there was chance, I would have already given them. But I will request the Minister for Local Government, since she's here. I believe she has a definite answer to that question.
Honourable Minister of Local Government.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honourable Prime Minister. We have requested for a supplementary budget, which we are processing, so that we can acquire road equipment for our people, but we shall start with the cities.
No, they want garbage collection, not road
For garbage, yeah, even the road equipment arose. And for garbage collection, we ordered for 10 trucks, also start with the cities.
Okay. Honourable.
Thank you very much, the Right Honourable Speaker. I'm Ashivu Agnes, the Woman MP, Nebi District. I have a concern and a question for government.
No, that's a question.
What intervention do they have for the street children in Kampala here? Thank you.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Honourable Speaker, 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with Kampala Capital City Authority, the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, and the police, that is Ministry of Internal Affairs. And we all agreed that the street children were becoming so many. So we started getting them off the roads, and they are being taken back to Napak, to their families. But we have a holding center in Napak, and the Prime Minister's office is providing food for these children as their parents come to identify their children. So far, we have removed over 3,000 children.
Okay. Chalangat. Chemutai, sorry. Chemutai.
Thank you, Honourable, Right Honourable Speaker. My question is about poor performance in education. Many years we have seen some districts performing poorly, and the same districts all the time. So what plans do you have, Prime Minister? What plans do you have for improvement in performance in these schools?
Right Honourable Prime Minister. Colleagues, endeavour to put on your masks, please. Please.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, we all need our children to perform better in schools. The Minister of Education will come here with a statement on how government intends to improve performance in schools. Thank you so
In 2
much.
weeks' time, Ruchiga is the final one. We've ended with Ruchiga. We go by.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. My question is about the CD school in Ruchiga district, that is sub-county Rwamchur. Right Honorable Speaker, this school was commissioned in 2019, and I have to appreciate the Ministry of Education. We received computers, but in that sub-county, Right Honorable Prime Minister, we have no electricity. And Right Honorable Prime Minister, I wanted to know, when are we going to get electricity, especially for the school to be able to run? Secondly,
No, Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, once again the Minister for Energy is here.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. I have a pending visit to Ruchiga. I worked it with the Honorable Member, and I'll be going with my team to see what is on the ground. But she actually raised the matter to me, and I'm aware, and I'm planning to go do a visit and see how many poles we need to connect the seed school and some other installations that she brought forward to me.
Thank you. Leader of Opposition. In Prime Minister's time, no procedure. Leader of Opposition. It's a very fixed time. If you read the Rule 41, it's well scripted.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me commence with giving credit where it is due. That the Prime Minister, in response of some of those written questions, the one on issuance of passports and the mandate of the Ministry of Internal Affairs was spot on, was accurately correct. But Mr. Speaker, the question on food reserves is a dictate of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and the national objectives and directive principles of state policy 22, Roman 22, that the state shall establish national food reserves. I will not go into the other details. Mr. Speaker, we are the only isolated island in the region. If you go to partner states of the East African community, mention Kenya, Tanzania. Like Kenya, for instance, they have a Kenya Cereals and Produce Board. So there is an equivalent in Tanzania. And they always store food in advance, in silos. Of course, in the plan, you are planning to have 4 large on-site silos, when you should have commenced with one in Karamoja. Because it is a shame, actually that question even mentioned that to eliminate the shame, the current shame. This is a country that is called a PAL, cut us off a statement that was made by the late British Prime Minister Churchill, because of the good weather, the arable soils. And as we talk, we are about to make 40 years in power, and we are a middle income, so to speak. So it would be a big embarrassment to hear of people starving in a part of Africa. And starving, it takes a long time for someone to die, by the way. It can take a full month. But see the number of Ugandans that have starved to death. And here we are, giving a rosy picture about the construction of silos, and it has become a song. Mine was to make a comment, Mr. Speaker, sir. But this response by the Prime Minister is a joke of the century. The next comment I'm making, I'm actually making very brief ones this time round, is on the question raised by my colleague, Member of Parliament of Upper Madi, about the school feeding policy. It is clear even UNATO carried out a survey, they conducted a research, and it was realized that why performance is so poor in schools, not only for learners, but also for the teachers, is because of UPE and the USC policy keeping off parents from participating in their responsibility of feeding, because she read the law. One of the fundamental responsibilities of the parents and the guardians is to feed their children. But this policy, it is actually illegal, and RDCs are all over the place, all over schools, for parents to contribute. There are some schools that have actually defied that directive of the president, and they do their thing surreptitiously. They hide, and they are performing very well when they contribute for feeding of both learners and the teachers. But here we are, there is a draft, all right, as per her response, for a national school feeding policy, but it is taking ages. I heard of that draft about 3 years ago, and it has never been submitted to cabinet, you can imagine. So must it wait for Jesus Christ to come back, and is coming soon? The other question I'm concluding with, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, sir, is on the roads. She elaborately talked about those roads on the agricultural cluster development progress. You mentioned Butareja, but in Madi, where the member raised the question of Upper Madi, the construction has not taken off at all. I'm aware he has shared it with me. But yeah, the contractor is not even on site. So the other issue, Right Honorable Prime Minister, in your absentia before you came, I had raised a concern in a procedural matter pertaining Rule 28. Is your mandate to always bring those statements? And indeed, you have made submissions, a litany of them, ever since this session started. But the $1 million question is, do you ever get bothered to know whether these businesses that you submit for the succeeding week are reflected in the order paper? Because none of the businesses you have ever submitted has ever featured on the order paper.
Honorable, please. You can use the word most, you can use what, but when you say none, that's so I would advise the language you use.
Yeah, I thank you for, but it is a matter of semantics.
No.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, we don't feel.
When I read of the answer, in future,
I beg to comment.
None.
I beg to comment.
Yes. Thank you, Rope. Next item.
Item 4, motion for resolution of Parliament urging government to urgently address the electricity supply challenges in the West Nile region.
Honorable Songa Lawrence.
So, it's not only West Nile, even in Mukono South and Kujikwe South.
The Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I rise under Rule 56 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament on a motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to urgently address the electricity supply challenges in West Nile region. Whereas Objective 27.2 of the National Objectives and Directive Principles of the State Policy on the 1995 Constitution enjoin the state to promote and implement energy policies which will ensure that the people's basic needs and those of environmental preservation are met. And whereas government developed the energy policy for Uganda in 2002 with the main policy goal as to meet the energy needs of the population for socio-economic development in an environmentally friendly manner, and later in 2007 reinforce our commitment to the development and utilization of renewable energy resources and technologies through approval of the renewable energy policy, aware that the government formulated rural electrification policy to promote equitable rural electrification access, having special regard to those areas of the community that are currently marginalized, such as West Nile region, which has perennially had low electricity connectivity rates that in both the urban and rural averages countrywide. Further aware that Parliament enacted the Electricity Act of 1999 with the objective of regulating the generation, transmission, distribution, sale, use, export, and import and distribution of electrical energy in Uganda, among others. Recalling that in an effort to address...
Please, colleagues, we are in the house. Okay? If you want to have any chat, please, colleagues, if you want to talk to each other, you can move to the canteen. Yes.
Recalling that in an effort to address power shortage in West Nile region, which has never been connected to the national grid, in 2003, government through the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development granted a concession agreement to West Nile Rural Electrification Company, WENRECO, to generate, distribute and sell electricity in West Nile region for a period of 20 years. Concerned that West Nile Rural Electrification Company failed to fulfill its contractual obligation under the concession agreement to generate, distribute and sell electricity in West Nile, and consequently Electromax was introduced to supplement the power generation. Further concerned that even after the two companies were engaged to supplement each other in power generation to achieve reliable, stable and affordable power supply in the region, West Nile has to date endured unreliable, unstable, unpredictable and costly power supply, which is characterized by constant power outages, interruptions and blackouts. Acknowledging that the unstable power supply has greatly affected the economic development and service delivery in the West Nile region and contributed to insecurity in the region. Cognizant of the promises made by government, which on 13 September 2021, through the Ministry of Energy, promised to have the West Nile region connected to the national grid by September 2022, and later revisited the date to March 2023. Mindful of the government electricity access targets of 80% of the total population by 2040 under the Uganda Vision 2040 and 60% by the year 2025 under the National Development Plan 3 and the Rural Electrification Strategy and Plan 2013-2022, which set the target to increase access to electricity in rural areas from 7% to 26%. Now, therefore, be it resolved by this Parliament that Parliament urges government through the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development to urgently provide funds to Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, or to any independent body to supply fuel to the Electromax to generate the Lance's 8.2 megawatts of electricity to be supplied to West Nile Rural Electrification Company, WENRECO, to ensure stable and reliable supply of electricity to the people of West Nile region. 2, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development fast tracks the bulk evacuation of electricity, the 132 kV line national grid to West Nile, and also speeds the works at the substations at Arua and Nebi to enable West Nile region get connected to the national grid. 3, Parliament urges government to release all the required funds to speed up the completion of 6.6 megawatt at Nyagak 3 and replace the second turbine at Nyagak 1 in order to generate the 3.5 megawatt installed capacity instead of the current 1.7 megawatts being produced. 4, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development upgrades the existing electricity network in West Nile region to be able to distribute from the high voltage 132 kV from the National Grid transmission line once evacuated to the region by March 2023 as promised by government. 5, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development intensifies expansion of the network to rural areas to cover all the districts, municipalities, town councils, sub-counties, institutions, and parishes in West Nile region to support the parish development model and reduce the high rate of environmental degradation. I think this is supposed to be the whole country. Number 6, a forensic audit in the operation of Electromax be instituted to ascertain whether or not Uganda has obtained value for money for the period Electromax has operated in West Nile. 7, a compliance audit be carried out on Electricity Regulatory Authority, ERA, in relation to the operations of Electromax and Wenreco. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I beg to move.
Thank you, Honorable. Motion seconded. Yes, I can see here was seconded by Honorable Feta Joffrey, Ayiv East County, Honorable Musa Noah, Honorable Atima Jackson, Honorable Isaac Atimgi, Honorable Foyochan Esther, Honorable Mamawi, you know the whole house. Yes, thank you. Honorable Lawrence, the issues you've raised are very clear. So I give you 3 minutes to speak to your motion. 3 minutes strictly.
Thank you, Right Honorable. On behalf of the people of West Nile and also on behalf of all the stakeholders involved in power supply to West Nile, I want to say that, first of all, we thank His Excellency the President for bringing the people of West Nile back from exile. And that gave us some hope. The people of West Nile cried, talked, held meetings, and prayed for energy access. Up to today, poverty is increasing. Energy poverty is actually worsened. When Nyagak 1 came, we thought there was now hope. In 2019, Right Honorable Speaker, you are aware, I was there in the meeting, you were a member of my committee. We decided that we take the generators from Tororo after installing 10 megawatts of power there to West Nile, and we took them. But they went there, they started facing fuel challenges. Then there was a report which was given by one former minister that West Nile capacity to absorb power was still low. That's why they are delaying. I can assure you, when sugar was introduced in Uganda, long time ago, there was no demand until the manufacturers started giving free sugar and people tested and they found it was good. I know there are many classical economies in the Say's theory which says that supply creates demand. So the statement that the demand is still low does not hold water. That it is an insult to the people of West Nile. You supply the electricity, factories will come automatically. Number 2, the economy of the Uganda and West Nile is agro-based. You will agree with me that in the pillar of PDM, we are talking about agro-industrialization. How are you going to promote agro-industrialization without electricity? How are you going to promote agro-industrialization without doubling production in agriculture through even solar irrigation, which requires also electricity. So this is a challenge. It will not succeed unless we address the challenge of energy. And government programs that are in place, PDM, youth livelihood, they are all they are supporting enterprises that require electricity. That's why they are failing. Impact is very grave on health, education, economy, and security. 2 years ago, Zombo district was attacked by some criminals because most of the young people were deceived to go to fight just because of 500,000 shillings. If they had put electricity there and they were continuing with the government programs of doing maybe small enterprises like welding, they would not be deceived to go to Congo to attack Uganda. But the people of West Nile, after coming back from exile, they said, never again shall we go back to the bush. Can I conclude, Right Honorable?
Yeah, because Honorable, you have your colleagues who are also going to contribute.
Okay,
I want them to have time.
Can I conclude?
Yeah, please conclude.
We said, never again shall we go to the bush. We just need the roads, we just need the electricity. What is important also to note is that we have high revenue points of Vora, of Padea, Goli, generating high revenue for Uganda. Even if we retain 10%, we would have electricity, would have roads. So I don't want to take all the time, but I pray that fuel be provided urgently because there is an emergency to the people of West Nile so that we have reliable electricity. Thank you very much. I beg
Thank
to
you,
submit.
Honorable. Honorable Feta. Geoffrey? The seconders, I'm giving you 3 minutes each.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. I rise to second the motion for the resolution of Parliament urging government to urgently address the electricity challenges in West Nile region. By 2003, West Nile and the Greater Arua and the Nebi had 1,200 consumers connected to the grid, and they were consuming about 1,100 megawatts. Today, the segment of consumers in 3 sub-regions, majorly Madi sub-region, Arua, and Greater Nebi, constitute about 27,000 consumers. Government, through Rural Electrification Agency, extended the network to the parts of Yumbe, Koboko, Terego, Pakwach, Madiokolo, Moyo, and Ajuman. And over the years, the demand for consumption of power has grown beyond 15 megawatts and is still growing. One of the major processing plants and factories like Adrico's 7 Hills Vodka, Arua Foam, Malaika Beverages, and Bread Company were forced to close due to inadequate power. BAT, which used to grow leaf tobacco in West Nile, could not establish plant due to inadequate power. And therefore, the people of the region only grew tobacco but did not reap the benefits of processing. Adrico's 7 Hills plant was consuming 750 kilowatts daily, was forced to close and shift its plant to Nalukolongo, where they are now have expanded to processing beverages, glucose processing, and water production. They employ directly about 200 staff and indirectly engage over 600 people in the economy of Uganda. Today, we have Meridian Tobacco that consumes about 1.2 megawatts. That company operates on a double shift processing and running line. It has about 300 direct staffs. It is involving 15,000 farmers that sell their products to Meridian Tobacco. National Water and Sewerage Corporation plant in Arua pumps water from different drilled boreholes to the reservoirs to supply the Greater Arua and Koboko. They need about 1 megawatt to do their job well. This means that without power, the entire region does not have water, and it is likely to lead to health crisis. Homes do not have water, hotels do not have water. In Koboko town alone, National Water and Sewage Corporations needs 650 kilowatts to run their plant to produce water and supply hotels and domestic use. MTN alone has over 40 masts connected to the grid of Arua, and each mast consumes 15 kilowatts, and in total on daily basis the 40 masts consume 600 kilowatts. The small and medium enterprises are over 400 on that network, and they consume all on 3-phase connected, and they pay a lot of money to Wenreco. This includes banks, hotels, metal fabricators, workshops, petrol stations, and millers. Their demand alone on the grid is about 3.5 megawatts. If Nyagak was operating on full capacity, Nyagak will only be consumed by the small and medium enterprises. These businesses create a lot of employment and pay huge taxes to Uganda Revenue Authority that enables government to offer services to different sectors in this country. Government institutions like universities, secondary schools, tertiary institutions, all connected to 3-phase lines, demand about 2 megawatts. Insecurity in the central business center of Arua has risen because the last 6 weeks, security lights are not working. Hooligans are robbing women who are coming from home to the markets. Those who board off buses are robbed. Many visitors have become victims and fear to move freely in Arua. Example is a staff of Parliament of Uganda who transported members to the burial of Honorable Onzima Godfrey's father was robbed at the hotel corridors on Avenue Road next to Equity Bank in Arua City. The current service providers strive on dishonesty, and they cannot be consistent in generation of supply of electricity. Wenreco has 2 licenses. One license to generate 3.5 megawatts of electricity from its Nyagak 1 dam plant, which has 2 turbines. Currently only generating 1.75 megawatts because the second turbine has taken down.
Excuse me, Clerk, did you time Honorable Feta?
Please give me 1 minute to finish.
You know, I need other colleagues. Honorable, you have colleagues from the region. I need them also to be seen by the
Chair,
people.
could you kindly allow me to finish?
Please conclude. Just conclude.
The fact of the matter is the inconsistency and continuous dishonest of the service providers need to be brought to light. As we speak here, Nyagak, Electromax and Wenreco have been telling citizens inconsistent information. They have claimed that they have shifted the turbine to Nairobi for repairs. But we have quotations here that indicate that these things were repaired locally. The quotation is here, purchase order is here, and even payment details are here.
Would you like to lay them on table?
Exactly, I want to lay them to.
Thank you. Thank you.
2, government contracted Electromax to generate and supply to Wenreco. This Electromax does not have capacity to generate electricity. They have consistently run out of fuel. On 13th of December 2021, I brought a matter of national importance concerning their failure to supply electricity. Today, I also want to lay this on table that Electromax has drawn fuel from local suppliers and failed to pay. Here are the supply sheet and a balance of 252 million, which they have not paid 17 months after they have drone this fuel.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you.
I thank you
Yes,
and I
sir.
beg to move.
Thank you. Now, as I called Dr. Musa, you know, Honorable Minister, you're going to respond, but this is a straightforward matter. We've grossed over it. We've massaged it. We've done, I don't know what's wrong. Everyone knows when RECO cannot manage. Everyone knows. This is, Honorable Minister, this is a matter for which I closely, and some of the colleagues, we closely worked with Honorable Songa in the 10th Parliament. I remember we met at Entebbe, Lake Victoria, and ERA clearly told us Electromax cannot manage. At that time, they told us there was a deficit of 3 megawatts in West Nile. So we said, okay, if there is a deficit, as a quick measure, let us put thermogenerators. Thermogenerators were transferred from Tororo to West Nile, and they said they were for 5 megawatts. But later on, we came to understand it was for 8 megawatts. Okay? Now, but the information I have, whereas they were charging money for 8 megawatts, they were supplying only 5. In fact, they will clarify, less than 5. That's what I know. Now, and I'm trying to put pieces together. Then later, ERA discovered that these people were being paid for power they were not supplying. So ERA started now deducting from the money they were supposed to be paid, because they are paid on time. They are paid, government is paying them on time. There shouldn't be any question. In the end, these people said you're taking away all the money, and now they failed to buy fuel. I remember I intervened personally. I called the head of ERA. I called the minister at that time. I don't think it was Honorable Ruth. There was someone. And then they agreed to help. They intervened and started giving Electromax money beyond even what they were even supposed to be getting in advance, so that they can buy fuel. Now, we have installed enough capacity, because I'm sure if all the 8 thermogenerator, the 8 megawatts, which is arranged to be installed in West Nile, can be utilized, we wouldn't be having these issues. But we also have redundant thermogenerators in Tororo, if I may know, because we had around 100 megawatts of standby thermal. So it's a shame when I read Honorable Okasai's statement that we have over 1,000 megawatts, but we are consuming only 800, and patients are dying in hospitals in West Nile because we cannot give them power. So the Ruth Nankabira, you know, before we leave here, she will give us a solution. Before we leave here, I know, before we leave here. And before we leave also, next week, I want the Committee on Natural Resources to go to West Nile. Next week, you go with MPs, you come back and you report here. We have to sort out the issue of West Nile. These are our colleagues. Honorable Minister, I want to give you all the support needed. All the support needed to be given to the ministry to sort the issue of power in West Nile.
Right, Honorable, most obliged.
Yes.
We shall make sure that as a committee, we move together with the honorable members from West Nile so that we explore this matter and come up with a solution. Right, Honorable.
On Thursday, I'll give you space on the order paper to come back and report here.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable. But I also want to beg for your indulgence, Right Honorable, that we get the necessary facilitation as soon as possible.
The Speaker has directed.
Thank you.
So once the Speaker has directed, you know, so Honorable Musa, it's really, it's painful.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise under Rule 60, Sub-Rule 1, to second the motion. And I would like to speak on the impact of lack of power on social service.
As a medical officer, I worked in West Nile about 10 years ago in a rural hospital and a Koboko hospital. That time, we had situations where you would get blackout in the middle of surgical procedure. And then you would finish closing a patient using flashlight or telephone or fluorescent lamp. 10 years later, the same situation is still happening in West Nile. Reliable electricity is required in health facilities to enable the frontline health workers to carry out their work, to power life-saving equipment, to run ICT equipment, to ensure that health facilities can conduct surveillance and report, and to also supply or to pump water for the facilities. If you look at health facilities in the whole of West Nile, with the exception of the health facility along the main trunk on the highway from Pakoch to Nebi and then Moyo and Ejumani, there are only a few of these health facilities that are connected to the current electricity we have. Most of the health facilities are run on solar power. And we all know solar power has challenges of weather and storage, especially the capacities installed in these health facilities, with the exception of critical units like cold chain units, which are designed to always to have power. And because of this, most of the facilities have not been able to undertake critical services. For example, let's look at the new referral hospital in Yumbe. Actually, it is one of the best hospitals in the country now. All the equipment are digitalized. They need power. But the people are unable to use these facilities. They are the best neonatal unit in the region. But they cannot use it because it needs 24 hours power supply. They have to refer patients to a rural hospital or to other facilities. This increases the cost of accessing care and receiving care for the citizens. It even increased the cost of government providing services because these hospitals have to the fuel which is
Honorable Mara, will give you 1 minute.
The same situation is with education. If you look at the education institutions, they face the same challenge. Our students are unable to study overnight. They cannot access online learning. And we remember during COVID, online learning became mode of learning in the country. The same thing is with accessing government services. You know, government wants by end of NDP3 to have 80% of services online. You cannot access the service unless you walk several kilometers to the nearby town. And sometimes you will still fail because the power we receive from Wenereko and Electromax is not reliable. Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, I therefore want to beg you to support this motion so that these issues are addressed. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Yes, no, I still have the seconders of the motion who were submitted. Honorable Atima.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to second this motion of resolution of Parliament urging government of Uganda to urgently address the persistent, unreliable and unstable power supply of electricity in West Nile region. Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, allow me on behalf of the people of Arua Central and the people of West Nile and on my own behalf to thank the Right Honorable Speaker Anita Among Annette for donating solar panels to help save the situation in Arua Regional Referral Hospital. I thank her so much. She's a real mother for this nation. Right Honorable Speaker, the failure or delay to connect West Nile region to national grid, which is industrially reliable, stable, yet it's a right of all citizens in Uganda to have access to power, I therefore second this motion for the following reasons. Poor supply by the service provider, that is Wenreco and Electromax, has caused a serious damage in that region. 2, Right Honorable Speaker, unstable supply of power has led to the closure of many businesses like welding workshops, milling machines, and many other businesses that have closed in that region, which is from the business hub of Arua Central in Arua. Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable colleague, next time you first ask for time. You don't allocate yourself more. Go on.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the power issue in West Nile is a threat to socio-economic transformation advocated for through the Paris development model. For instance, in my constituency, government of Uganda through Ministry of Local Government constructed a multi-billion value addition facility in Awendere Ward, which was commissioned by His Excellency in 2020. Right Honorable Speaker, from that time up to today, that factory is idle. Yet it has the capacity to produce 4 tons of grains or cereals in 1 hour. And this could employ a good number of youths and women. Equally, Right Honorable Speaker, Muni University, that has the state-of-art laboratory well equipped with the machines that has capacity to do COVID tests in that region, has failed because of failure of stable high industrial voltage power. Right Honorable Speaker, the continuous power outages has led to the breakdown of many production machines in that city and in the region. I therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, my prayers are, government of Uganda gives the people of West Nile.
No, Honorable, the prayers are in the motion. You're just a seconder.
Okay, I second that.
You second the prayers in the motion. You're limited
I second the prayers in the motion.
Thank you.
And I ask government to immediately restore power in West Nile region so that the people can enjoy the privileges that are meant for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The men have spoken a lot. Let me allow 2 ladies. Honorable Foyo Nesta and Mamat, the elderly to the back. The Matia Ruth. Yes. By the way, Rematia is not the elderly. She won a serious constituency.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this time. Right Honorable Speaker, it is becoming increasingly difficult to be a legislator in West Nile. For these reasons, as members of Parliament from West Nile, we do our best to ensure that our voices are heard and services are delivered to our people. We are only frustrated by the quality of services that eventually arrive in our places. Right Honorable Speaker, Zombo, for instance, is in the pipeline of getting a new factory for processing tea. Imagine hundreds of acres of people's land is under tea cultivation. As we talk, it is almost becoming a bush. Tea is growing into big trees. While we are trying to solve the factory issue and we are almost succeeding, now we have the power issue. Right Honorable Speaker, I pray that this time round we get a solution that can work for our people for the rest of the time. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, Honorable colleague, I want to assure you that as the leadership of Parliament and with the support of colleagues, we are going to work together to make it easier for you to be a legislator in West Nile. Because that's why we are here, to support each other from all shades. No one should even fear going to their constituency because they come from a certain area that is not having services. So we are going to support you, and we are really going to take it up more than anyone could imagine to ensure we sort out that issue. Lematia. Then I pick opposition.
Right, Honorable
You need
Speaker.
also members of the opposition to support you.
Right, Honorable Speaker, my colleagues, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I want to bring you our misery with our youth. There are so many youths loitering in the streets because they have nothing to do. There is no way you can say, engage yourself in welding. We have tried, many of us in West Nile, we have tried to resettle these youths at some activities so that they could get money, but they can't do it because there is no power. In Katue here, these people are flourishing because the power is to them. But in West Nile, the power is not there. You cannot organize the the youth that you
no, colleagues, I'm giving you 2 minutes each so that Honorable Rematia conclude. The rest we are doing just 2 minutes to ensure.
My conclusion is that if this power is brought to West Nile, that will solve our problem with the idle youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Pachuto, Honorable Sewungu, Honorable Christine. Secretary and the engineer will give you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank
now,
my brother.
if you know you've already spoken, please. Yes, if you know you've already spoken, please don't even. So, Komakechi, so Honorable, continue.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to expand on the point of skilling the youth. Right Honorable Speaker, right now, His Excellency is doing his best. As I speak now, there are a team of youth right from Pakwach up to Zombo who are undertaking skilling program. But Right Honorable Speaker, for these skilling programs, it ranges from tailoring, welding, carpentry, mention them. And quite a number of them require electricity, reliable electricity. We are not saying we do not have electricity in the West Nile, but it's not reliable at all. It cannot move our people to the right socio-economic transformation that we all desire in this country, Right Honorable Speaker. The other thing, Right Honorable Speaker, West Nile, like any region in Uganda, when you go downtown, you will be surprised to realize that there's a particular zone in Kampala here that is known as Arua Park, meaning that we are very industrious, enterprising people. And this is so even in West Nile. In any other part of Uganda, you'll find economic activities running up to as late as 2 a.m. But in West Nile, come 6 o'clock, darkness has befallen you. Come 6 a.m., darkness is already in your face. Right Honorable Speaker, how shall we as a people compete with the rest of the country if our children cannot have adequate power to do preps, to study online, and to do research, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you. Honorable Sewungu, Honorable Christine.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the move of the motion. And Honorable Speaker, we are lucky the Honorable Minister, Ruth Nankabirwa, at that time, was Minister of State for Defense when they were constructing the Karuma Pakwachi Road during the insurgency. Now, a government which might construct a road during that insurgency of Koni, how would you fail to transmit power to Arua when there's sanity? West Nile. Secondly, these people are not crying to give them free power. They want power constantly to pay you tariffs. But you are not paying them. I have gone to West Nile. I know that region, there is business. And once there is business, government is generating income. Why should they beseech you and yet above all they are giving a lot of votes? You are not fair to them. You are not fair to them. Right Honorable Speaker, this week, I gave a number of avenues West Nile has. And what is happening, how would you tell us that an incompetent company is still continuing to produce power and it has no fuel? Then give them fuel free of charge, and people enjoy their lives, because that's what you are doing to ferries crossing along Lake Victoria. It is not their problem that there is no power. They are willing to pay, but you are not giving them adequate, fast attention to give them power that is stable. So, Honourable Speaker, if I may pray that the Honourable Minister, Ruth Nankabirwa, serious as you have stated, please let us take this matter seriously. Not a matter of moving a motion and keep it. And I'm happy that, Honourable Speaker, you have insisted that we have to give support. What the honourable members are saying, they go back to their voters, supporters, they are harassed. Where is power? Where is power? What are you saying? They are saying it here. But the Treasury Memoranda of Government should release facts that provide the power to the people of West Nile.
Thank you. Thank you. Honourable question.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. On the issue concerning provision of power to West Nile, I one time worked in West Nile in the district of Moyo. And at that time, we used to get power between 7 p.m. to 10, and everything would take place at that time. But we are happy that the power, the stations they're talking about, improving the placement of mini grids, which internationally is being encouraged, because connectivity to the main grid may be very, very expensive. So we are saying that since the region has its own stations, these mini grids must be functional. They are reducing the challenges we find in connecting people on the main grid, because these days there are speculators who come on the way and they need to be compensated, and at the end of it, power is generated but cannot reach the final end user. And then the other issue is on the payment concerning electro max and the intended megawatts. How are we paying these people? Are we paying them per the megawatts produced or the number of days worked? It is very important that we pay them based on the megawatts produced, such that the work, all the service they give to Uganda is equivalent to the expense that we give them. And so, my additional prayers is to ensure that our people also protect the river banks, such that these companies have no excuse. There's a time we went.
Thank you. Honourable Chair of the Committee, Honourable Christine is raising a very important point. In your work, we want you to study how much money has been paid to Electromax versus how much power they have delivered to the grid. Because that's very important. This business of saying capacity charge, it's a very, very important issue. Now, another thing which you should look at, you can contact the Attorney General. Such a contract have what we call service level clauses. The service level must be at a certain level. The service reliability. You must have at least 90%, 80%. If you don't, you should be penalized. So we want to know whether these agreements that we gave have service level clauses, so that if Electromax is not meeting that service level, is it being charged liquidated damages? And Honourable Fox Odoi will explain to you better, since he's your neighbor. These are issues, yes, these are issues we must look out for. I'm really concerned, a company to say, I don't have fuel, but we are buying your power. We are not taking free power. Yeah? So how do you say you don't have fuel? Then it means you're not able to deliver. We get someone else. We have a plant at Namanvi, a thermal plant at Namanvi, which we paid for recently, 100%. You should maybe think of transferring it to West Nile, since it is for government, as an emergency measure, if it can help sort the West Nile issue. Honourable Secretary.
Thank you, Honourable
Then Father Charles.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Oh, then from Secretary, Engineer, then Father Charles.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, for the issue we are now discussing about electricity, it's just Arua as maybe a benchmark, West Nile as a benchmark to the fact that every Ugandan, wherever he is, would wish to invest somewhere where there is development, but the basis of development is electricity as a factor. Now you move in Arua, they are crying for the same. Every Eastern, they are crying for the same. Where are we going to see that Ugandans are safe? We have free water for electricity. Poles are cheap. Wires can be transported where and where. Now we ask ourselves, where is the problem? If the ministry has a problem, let's Ugandans also be part of the failure so that we don't blame anyone. Because if the ministry is working towards the success, let also Ugandans be part. If we like to surrender land, surrender poles, and we see we can also give a hand to government where it has failed, because they are not declaring where they have failed, but they give us hopes, every time hopes. We are tired of hopes.
Honorable, are you threatening to cross over to NRM so that you become a Minister of Energy?
Yes,
and you...
in Chagulanyi's government.
Oh, okay. But Honorable Secretary, what you need to get, the case of West Nile is different because it's not connected to the national grid. That's the uniqueness of it. So we shouldn't equate it to our areas not having electricity. Not theirs is the whole the whole region being not connected. Engineer.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, for record, my name is Balimwezu Ronald Nsuga. Parliament have an oversight role, and oftentimes we are lamenting. It's our role as Parliament, first, to monitor the operations of the ministry and the government agencies. So who has gone wrong? If Parliament appropriated money and government contracted Climax, Erectomax, to supply 8 megawatts, and it instead supplied less than 5. Where is the problem? Are we doing our role as people supposed to basically do oversight role? Have we requested for damages? Because everyone has a responsibility in this. Therefore, I request for an investigation into the operations of Erectomax as an additional prayer, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Father Charles O'Neill.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Right Honorable Speaker, the problem of the people of West Nile is not only electricity, but also the road. And I wish you could accompany those teams who are going there on Thursday or next week. Because from Kampala to West Nile or to Arua, you spend more than 10 hours. You are lucky that your car has got good tires and shock absorber, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the electricity service providers in West Nile has not only kept the people of West Nile in darkness, but they have enabled West Nilers to live in darkness, rather darkness to live in them. Right Honorable Speaker, the persistent power outages in West Nile has not only affected economic growth, but also the quality of life of the people of West Nile. I've sat close to most of the ladies coming from West Nile, and most of their eyes are red. Why? Because the West Nilers still use the traditional technology of lighting. They still use firewood to cook food. They still use kerosene to light their candles, and that's why the quality of life is poor. I think enough is enough. Order. Enough is enough.
Order. The eyes are red.
Yes, the eyes are red.
No, please,
yes.
Honorable, please.
Please give me time. Okay. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is the service providers of electricity in West Nile, their licenses should be terminated. And we give the license to another company which can provide electricity for the people of West Nile. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, there is a guidance which I gave you some time back. As long as someone is not, when you're on the floor, colleagues, when you are on the floor, don't respond to voices which are off record. Because you're getting matters which are off record and putting them on record. You disorganize us with our Hansard. Just remain focused. Then maybe you can say I seek protection, and then I'm able to come in as a presiding officer. Honorable Judy Sadiak, of course, I will allow the minister before. No, Minister, I will allow you later towards the end.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, you have seen the level of emotions that have been generated due to lack of power in West Nile. Yes. Right Honorable, I remember when I came to this parliament in 2016 and we were called for a retreat in Chankwanzi. Honorable Alioni Hondria, that day when His Excellency the President went and many programs were being presented, including the issues of electricity. Right Honorable, the President even gave directives on the issues of power or electricity in West Nile. But I still see that there is no proper action that has been taken to this effect. Right Honorable Speaker, if there was electricity in West Nile, I want to mention here without fear or favor that West Nile region would never be the same again. It would never be the same again, Right Honorable, because first of all, poverty would have been elevated, would have been reduced, would have been really worked on, because there would be quite a number of employment opportunities given to the people, to the youth, to any other person, even to the business communities, because we are still crying for the same things year in, year out. I think, Right Honorable, affirmative action needs to be taken for West Nile once and for all, and no region should be left behind as far as fairness, equal opportunities are concerned. I beg to submit, Right Honorable.
Thank you. Thank you. We have one of our energy experts. Then after, I will pick MPs from West Nile. Okay? Yes. Honorable Mugor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Magora.
Yes, on record indeed, I'm Magoro Johnny Faith, Member of Parliament, Bungoko North in Mbale District. And coming from a background, Right Honorable Speaker, of a constituency which is very close to many things but has no power. At midnight, you get a call when you think you have gone to rest that there is nothing in the health center. About 5 health center threes, and they are telling you provide at least some kerosene for the midwives to do their job. Coming from that background of having schools with the computers and they cannot operate them, they are just there idle. Right Honorable Speaker, I cannot agree more with the motion that the honorable colleagues have presented, because I identify closely with what is going on in West Nile.
Thank you.
And I pray it goes on. Thank you very much. I submit.
Honorable Sharifa, I'm just going to do a minute.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker.
Don't mind all West Nile MPs. I have your list here. Each one of you will speak. It's your time. Yeah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this came as a petition from a very brilliant girl from Koboko called Mercy, who led a team from West Nile to Parliament of Uganda. So I want to tell her, thank you, Mercy.
Is she around? We recognize her. Thank you.
And if it was not for her, Honorable Speaker, we wouldn't be here right now debating about this. Right, Honorable Speaker.
No, Honorable, I want to make a clarification.
Yes, please.
MPs from West Nile have been raising this issue several times.
Yes, right, Honorable Speaker. These issues have been raised several times.
Maybe in form of a petition, it had not come, but the MPs from West Nile. I remember there is a time even Fetan here threatened violence on me. So, I remember Honorable Baba. And so I wanted to make that clarification. that MPs before your people, that MPs from West Nile have been persistent on this issue, only that we had never given it the attention we've given it today.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm not denying the fact that the members have been doing that, but I'm just saying that if it was not for this petition, probably we wouldn't have it on order paper right now, and probably wouldn't be taken seriously the way we are taken right now. So I thank them, the petitioners, for that. Right, Honorable Speaker, business equipment have been blown in West Nile. In Koboko district, where I come from, we only switch on street lights on big days because we do not have enough finances to cater for lights on the streets. That means you can imagine the level of insecurities we have in West Nile, in Koboko district. Right, Honorable Speaker, I don't think this, the petitioner wanted even when record to stay. Their plea was when record must leave West Nile. They were not negotiating for anything. They wanted when record to leave West Nile. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have power lines, poles in part of Koboko district, for instance, West and North Division. Those power lines are empty with no lines connected to them, rendering my people of Koboko useless, rendering us incapable of delivering to our capacity. So, right, Honorable Speaker, in West Nile, we are also using 99% biogas. That means we are destroying our forest. We are cutting our trees just to be able to use charcoal. Not just in the villages, also in municipality. We are using biomass. So definitely this matter is more than serious. West Nile, we are suffering from drought. West Nile, we are suffering from not just drought, prolonged drought. So our people need light. And
thank you, Honorable Adrico. Yovan.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Adrico Yovan, represent people of Vora constituents, Arua district. Right Honorable Speaker, we are here for a serious issue. The issue of electricity in West Nile, we have suffered enough. And the Honorable Minister used to promise us 2021, 2023, 2024. This time, our people are not happy. That's why you see some representatives have come. Because when we go down there, they think that we are not working enough. But we are seriously always remind the government. But this time, Honorable Minister, we are tired of your lies. We need implementation. It's good you are near with me. I don't want to hear again promise. And two, your issue, I have seen your ministry is full of corruption.
Honorable colleague.
Yes, there is corruption in the Ministry of Agriculture.
Honorable colleague.
Yes.
There is unparliamentary language. Okay? The minister is not a liar. The minister gives a position of government.
Thank you.
Implementation might delay, so withdraw that.
Thank you very much. I will withdraw, but I need implementation.
Yeah.
Honorable Minister, this time we have implementation. Because yesterday, Batiran, I got a message from Arua. 2 women died in Arua hospital. Even I sent one coffin. One is from my constituents. Then free, all petrol stations in my constituents were closed. Fere and in Odia, that one in Ajia, all were closed. This means we are suffering. Please help us because we want to develop.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Leku. This is another energy expert.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we are here to offer solution, and immediate solution and long-term solution. Right Honorable Speaker, one of the challenges we have with electoral marks is supervision by ERA. ERA has failed to supervise electoral marks. They are actually sleeping on the job. The question is, who actually owns electoral marks? Because whenever we go, we attempt to talk about electoral marks. The
question stays there. We are diverted away from issues of electromarks in this country. So electromarks has been giving lip services. Can we decentralize the supervision of electromarks to the people of West Nile? 2, Olio station is already energized. Can we evacuate that power from Olio? Olio is energized from right from Kampala here. Can we evacuate that power across the Nile and connect it to the existing network of Wenreko? Number 3, the densification rate of electricity in West Nile is only at 7%. And we are looking at achieving the highest electricity connection by 2040. This is something we cannot do with the thermal power anymore. This needs a national grid. We need really urgent attention to this. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Agnes Achiba.
Thank you very much, the Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity once again. First of all, as West Nilers, when we talk about the issue of power, our temperatures rises above the normal. Why are our temperatures rising? We have had a number of insults. And I do believe if our leaders, the political leaders, the ministry officials, would go and talk to the local layman there, I think something wrong would happen. But it is our prayer that as today we talk about the issue of power in West Nile, let the concerned ministry save the image of our government. The Right Honourable Speaker, you are all aware that West Nile is pro this government. As I talk, even our leadership, they are now getting afraid. How would they talk before our voters? Because all along, whatever is promised has never been fulfilled. It is my prayer today that whatever we are talking, let us see it being implemented.
Thank you, Honourable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable, let me get Maracha first. Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. For the record, I am Duwaru Jennifer, woman MP Maracha. Right Honourable Speaker, when we talk about socio-economical transformation, for us in West Nile, it is a nightmare. Because several times we had engagements with the Ministry of Energy, talking about power supply, connection to the national grid. We have pleaded, we have spoken all the English and all the Lubara and all the other languages from West Nile. It is our prayer today, because enough is enough. Last week, I went to Maracha, and I have a skilling project. I took all the machines, the sewing machines, the computers, and so on. I spent 1 full week waiting for power. And as I talk now, I have not installed those machines. So it is our humble prayer today for us to go and convince our voters. You need to help us as ministry and as government. I thank you so much.
Honourable Siraji Yumbe.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I'm Ezama Siraj Brahan for the purpose of record. Honourable Speaker, in 1986, West Nilers were repatriated from Congo and South Sudan by NRM government. And they were promised that it is only this government that could solve their issue. And sincerely, the government did part of its endeavors and the mandates. After realizing that the government was not living to its mandates. There were a lot of rebel activities that emerged in West Nile, including West Nile Bank fraud, which made a comprehensive agreement with the government of Uganda in 2002. And one of the fundamental issues in that agreement was the power issue. It has now stayed 20 years. The power issue has not been solved. Had it been the judgment day has befallen us today, all of the governments that had ruled Uganda would have been sent to hell. Because of only the problem of West Nile, of not putting West Nile in the agenda of the government of Uganda. Right, Honorable Speaker, it is therefore our cry. We don't know whether this government is going to stay forever or it is going to come down. But within the limited time of the
Thank you. Honorable Timothy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Isaac Otimgu, representing the people of Pdm County, Nebi District. Mr. Speaker, indeed, earlier this year, under your leadership, you instructed the Minister of Energy, and indeed, we had two field trips into West Nile. We started from Olweyo. We actually started from Karuma. We visited the falls there. We left there, went to Olweyo, and we moved. And indeed, we have seen the towers being erected. And in my constituency, actually in Padiere, we have seen the towers reaching almost the stations. But the only problem is that the speed now is slowing down. We understand the deadline of September, which we had communicated to our people, has now been moved over to March next year. Earlier in the year, we actually, before when RECO's contract was renewed, we as West Nile Parliamentary Caucus raised the concern that they should not renew the contract of WENRECO. But we understand the minister went ahead and renewed the contract of WENRECO. Why? We carry the people's concern. Mr. Speaker, in my constituency of Padiere, I've already installed over 40 solar panels because of the insecurity in some of the areas. Maybe I should bring that bill to the ministry so that they can pay me back that money, because they're supposed to provide some light in that area. And when we talk about light, Mr. Speaker, the connection in West Nile is only along the road. Only along the road. There is no connection even into one house behind the main road. That is how West Nile is connected. So I beg that actually this issue is worked on very much. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mamawi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity.
An MP from West Nile. From West Nile. Listen, I'm reading. If you've seen properly, I'm reading. I have your names here. Your whip for West Nile gave me the names. So I'm reading. Yeah. Mamawi?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, when we talk about power in this country, sometimes we feel isolated as West Nilers. Right Honorable Speaker, if we go to my own district, which is Adjumani, in our own language, they call power as Aziko. Aziko means it goes minus saying by. It just go by itself. And Right Honorable Speaker, if we are talking about power in my place, even people will start to fight with you, because they are not seeing importance of our own government helping them in terms of power. But as we are in the house here, Right Honorable Speaker, we have the generals here. During Kony time, they were able to evacuate Kony out of this country. And if they are able to do so, what about this small issue of electricity, which is causing insecurity in the country, especially in West Nile? All right, Honorable Speaker, we have air center terrace and air center force, which are not connected to electricity. When we talk about electricity in West Nile, it is in a different perception. In my own district, we have power from National Grid, which is Adjumani. But what we are talking about is not having power, but we are talking about its reliability and in terms of the voltage we have. The last visit President had in our area, he promised that he is going to upgrade the power to 32 megawatts for Germany, so that this can help to operationalize industry in the area.
Thank you.
But as we speak now, we are still in this world. We have industrial hub which is almost at complete stage in our area, but we don't know which power we are going to use to see that this industry is put into use. So it is a very big concern, and Arua is a center of West Nile, right, Honorable Speaker. If you go...
Honorable Nzima, followed by Lematia John.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and also the idea that this petition should be debated. The issue of power has not started today. In 2018, when we realized we had followed all other avenues and we had failed, we thought that the best would be to meet the president. When we had the retreat at Chankwanzi, it was a time for the president to come and deliver his speech. We decided and mobilized that once he enters, we should not sit down, so that we get his attention and he will definitely ask what is the issue. So when he entered and we did so,
but you're revealing your tactics. Next time he will...
No, it's okay, but we need to... So we had a meeting with the president, and in that meeting, all the staff of Ministry of Energy, including the ministers, were called. We agreed that as we wait for the power of Karuma, there should be connection through Isimba Dam, Dokolo, Gulu, Ajuman, so that West Nile is connected in the reverse way. Because some time back there used to be an argument that the power from Jinja taking it to Arua is very far. But if you can go on Google, get the distance between Jinja and the Chigali, you may find that it's around over 600 kilometers. But power is taken up to there. Even from Jinja even we have been exporting power to Kenya. But Arua from Jinja, according to Google, is 482 kilometers. But here they say power will be lost on the... Which kind of argument is this?
Thank you, Honorable.
So the issue of power, Mr. Speaker, this is a serious issue. I want to just this. When you look at the issue of power and the road infrastructure, to me I'm tempted to say, for us in West Nile, it seems to be a political issue. Because look at the road cover in West Nile. Government develops through a roadmap. The roadmap in West Nile is that, the development roadmap in Uganda is that in National Development Plan 1 and 2, the focus should be on infrastructural development. Now, National Development Plan 3 should be issues of income. That's why Paris Development Model is brought. Whereas in other areas, the attention is now income. For us, we are still struggling with infrastructure. You can't talk about accessibility of markets when there's no road.
Thank you, Honorable.
You can't talk about value addition when there's no electricity.
Honorable, thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Matia John.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For record purpose, my name is Lematia John, Ive West, the youngest Lematia. Right Honorable Speaker.
No, Honorable, you can say the male Lematia, we have the female Lematia. That would be...
Right Honorable Speaker.
Because we are not sure about age.
We, as people of West Nile, we have been always deceived at the due course of election that when you elect all NRM, power will be definitely. That's why if you see the percentage of MPs from West Nile, we are all NRM, with the exception of few, with the exception of 2. So we continue to wonder, and we continue to admit we shall continue to be deceived. And the time will reach, we shall not be deceived anymore. When we went to Chankwanj,
Honorable, I warned you on the issue of the language.
Yes,
Okay?
please. Yes, please.
There is delivering on lack of failure to deliver on a promise. It's not deceiving. Deceiving is intentional.
I admit, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes.
Right Honourable Speaker, when we were in Chankwanj, my colleague, brother Honourable Feta Joffrey, raised the same issue. He was provocatively suppressed on the same issue of the power. I've come simply with a question from West Nile, which this House needs to answer. Is West Nile part of Uganda? Are we in Uganda? If we belong somewhere, can directives be...
Honorable, you're in Uganda, that's why you're speaking in the Parliament of Uganda. And, yes. Honorable Isaac Etuka.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity. Right Honourable Speaker, the issue of power in West Nile, as all have alluded to, has been a long debate. But I want to say, in presence of the minister here, that partly it has been because of, I think, misadvice to the president and other people in the ministry. Why do I say this, Right Honourable Minister? In one meeting, the president asked one of the former ministers, whom I'm not going to mention, that you are saying that West Nile cannot consume the power if it is given to them now. Does it mean that the wires will begin to tear, or what will happen if you take this power to West Nile? The president was speaking loudly. He made the phone on loudspeaker. And everyone in the meeting heard. I think that misadvice of the minister is one of the contributing factors. And Chair, Right Honourable Speaker, we were with the technical team from Ministry of Energy. There has been, I think, a very big betrayal between the service providers and some ministry officials. Because one of the senior engineers in the meeting with the speaker was able to lie to the meeting that, well, I think that one is a total lie. My colleagues. So I think this is an engineer who has never been in Nyagak for all this time. If you go to Nyagak 1 now, where they claimed that the turbines are working, you cannot even have access route to the power plant.
Honorable Huda Oreru. Then I'll pick two more people. I'll pick Honorable Repair and the Honorable Net Mugisha. And then.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to begin by requesting that we should remove one of the statements that has been issued by Honorable Father Charles, when he insinuated that the people from West Nile have red eyes, and specifically he said the ladies, that we ladies have the red eyes because of lack of power. That's what he said. And scientifically, it has not been proven that our red eyes are because of lack of power. I therefore request that that statement should be removed out of this Hansard, because our children will be reading that Hansard.
Go on.
Therefore, I kindly request, Mr. Speaker, even the red eyes might be beauty. That is another thing that he doesn't know.
Up next on UBC, brought to you by...
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure,